Yo, hit that like, hit that subscribe. Don't miss anything A2D has to offer. Also, we got a lot to talk about tonight as first half of the hockey season is officially over. We're going to break down the Eastern Conference, Western Conference. We got some predictions for the second half. And, big question is, what's next for the Flyers? Tune in and find out. Let's go.
Let's go! This ain't the puck like force this game, he stinks!
Oh shit!
He's gone!
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We are live on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sasuti, along with the Darkwing Brian Daly.
What's going on, everybody?
And the broken one himself, Rob Povia.
Who's stoked for Olympic curling? No, just me? All right.
At least somebody.
Yeah, just you. Definitely not me, I'll tell you that.
Hey, listen, somebody has to be. It's a dirty job. Someone's got to do it. Anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. And tonight we are going to be talking about the first half of the NHL season. As always, we are brought to you by Body Check Wellness. You can get 25% off of your order if you use the A2D promo code. It is a line of products that use hemp, but they also have THC-free ones as well. And it's edibles, gummies, ointments. They're used for basically focus and clarity on kind of goals and tasks that you want to get done. If you got a school assignment you got to get taken care of, or if you want to diet and you just kind of need help to stay on track, it can help you with that. If you want to get into a good workout routine, it's also good for that as well. These products are really good just to not only motivate you, but just help you stay in that groove, stay in that, mode, and never really fall out of it. And that's important because as life goes along, sometimes you can fall out of a good routine here and there. But nonetheless, check them out. A2D, 25% off. And today's poll question coming from Mr. Brian Daly is the Flyers will rebound. Yeah. The Flyers will rebound in the second half of the season. Agree or disagree? Take it away on that one, boys. How do you feel on it?
I'm going to go real quick. Disagree. Next.
He wasn't kidding.
If you want me to give a reason, it's just what's going to change. We saw a little bit better play going into the half, stringing a couple wins together, but against, I don't know necessarily would say subpar competition. Los Angeles Kings are having them one humdinger of a season, which I'm sure about we'll be talking about later in the show when we cover the Western Conference. But it's still a team that can be beatable. The Jets, a team that can be beatable. Can they sustain it, especially as you start facing teams like the Pittsburgh Penguins? I don't think so. There's nothing on the ice that showed me that they have the hunger to compete to do so. Will they get healthier? Sure. Will Derek Brassard be back in the fold? There's some interesting lineup decisions to be made, boys.
Certainly is. What's up, Benny?
Yeah, what's up, Benny? See Ian in the chat. Wheels, what's good?
Hey, Wheels, what's going on, brother? And we got Anthony saying, hey, guys, I would like to take this time and to congrats on Danny Briere as the new GM of the Flyers after Fletcher gets fired. And to be fair, Danny is going to be the new assistant GM. And, well, let's just say in that mid-season press conference, David Scott made it kind of clear, if you're reading into it, that he put Fletcher on notice about this.
Technically special assistant to the GM. AKA maybe being groomed. I don't know. Maybe the point's still valid, but that is what the position is.
Maybe. It's just one of those things of like you bring him in and you kind of put Fletcher on notice. I don't know. I think it's a not so subtle. Hey, get your shit together or you're fired. Basically,
it's kind of like, is it assistant regional manager or assistant to the regional manager?
Yeah. It's one of those created positions you see all the time. It's like, that ain't no real position. You just made that shit up. Anyway.
I mean, the results have not been there. So, I mean, you can't expect to languish in, it's not even mediocrity at this point. Now you're in the bottom barrel of the league. That's no bueno.
Yeah, true. Second half.
Yeah, been there, done that. I'm not about that life anymore. I'm about winning. But no, I mean, when I created this poll question, I created it in the aspect of I'm not necessarily sure they can rebound to make the playoffs, but I do think they can turn their season around. So I'm going to agree to the poll in that aspect that they will be able to improve and give themselves something to build off of for next year, especially with some of the younger cats that are going to finally get healthy and come back. And you got guys getting ready to come up. Maybe they'll get to see some time after the trade deadline, depending on what's done. But I do think that the Flyers will find a way to rebound in some way, shape, or form and give themselves something to build off of for next year.
I see what you go. I see what you're meaning there. I mean, can they improve upon where they've been, especially as you start infusing young blood? If you move some of these veterans, as been rumored, heading towards the trade deadline, yeah, and that's how you turn it around. That's how you turn it around, building for next season and for the future, whether that looks like a retool or a rebuild, whatever that looks like. But yeah, I mean, I am excited in that regard. I'm not sure exactly who we're going to have, though, Brian. I mean, because the Phantoms wound up having to play tonight. So they recalled Isaac Ratcliffe. They already had Frost and York down there. I would assume York has done well enough to get the call back for tomorrow night. But the other two, I don't know, because I did mention before, Derek Brassard should be back in the fold. Do you leave Frost down there?
I mean, that's a good question. I mean, the upside of having Derek Brassard is he can play the wing, so he doesn't necessarily have to take up a center position. So that leaves that opening for Frost to come back up. Mm-hmm. I know Frost hasn't exactly lit the world on fire since coming back, but I mean, his last game that we did live reactions to wasn't exactly good. So it may not necessarily be a bad thing leaving him down there for a little bit longer just to see how he reacts to it. But yeah, I agree. Cam York should come back up. I thought Ratcliffe wasn't terrible, but I feel like he was, oh, Jesus, Ottawa is really taking it to Carolina. 4-0.
Damn.
But, I mean, this team is full of question marks. I mean, maybe take a chance on somebody else, bring somebody else up. But yeah, the main thing for this team right now is to get healthy. Because we were talking about it last week, a lot of the reason why I think this team has had a lot of issues, especially with chemistry, is, everybody's hurt. All the guys that you need to be in the lineup are all sitting out of the lineup. Kevin Hayes is out. He spent a good chunk of the year out. And then you have, Coots has missed a really good chunk of the year. And Ryan Ellis has only played like maybe 2% of the season. And so like, you can't afford to have these guys missing chunks of time like this and expect to be a competing team. That's my biggest thing. And I would love to see, like I said, I would love to see the team rebound and give themselves something to build off of next year. Maybe give some of these young guys an opportunity to see what they have. And I know you're going to see names traded at the deadline, and they're probably going to trade them for picks. So that should open up some spots to see what guys like, I don't know, maybe you give Zayd Wisdom a shot at the end of the year. You give Tyson Forrester a shot at the end of the year, because there is some talent down there. Bobby Brank making a lot of noise in the NCAA as well. So maybe you get a chance to bring him on board and then see what he can do at the NHL level just to see.
Yeah, that would be fruitful. Just to see what you have. moving forward. I mean, if you're assuming this season is lost, I mean, there is a whole other half to go. But like I said, I'm not seeing anything on the ice that, can turn around the problems that they've had and that they're going to have to fix coming into tomorrow night's game against Dylan Larkin and the Detroit Red Wings. You're still having a team that's constantly getting beat in the giveaway takeaway ratio. I mean, too many turnovers, especially in their side of the neutral zone and their own defensive zone. Even in wins, you're still seeing that happen. You're seeing a team that's been great historically in faceoffs, under 50% in their faceoffs. I mean, if it weren't for Giroux, who knows where they would be in that regard. And you're talking about a guy that, coming off a MVP performance in the All-Star game, #1 star in the NHL, man, his stock is high, boys. It's sad to say, but I think this is ultimately how you can judge the job of Fletcher. How you handle this situation.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, Robbie, you're speaking straight fact there. Like, this team is struggling in just about every aspect of the game right now, and this roster is clearly not getting it done. And that's kind of why I'm saying that as far as rebound goes, we're going to see pieces moved for sure. For what, we're not sure yet. Who's going to go? We're still not sure yet. Could G go? Yeah. Could he wind up not waiving his no trade clause and stay here? Yeah, absolutely he can.
Yeah.
But, I think this team needs some kind of an injection of some form. And I think if we can free up the spaces to bring up some of the younger kids and get some dogs up here, I think that could completely turn the season around into something positive instead of it being something just so dastardly negative like it's pretty much been so far. And I hope I'm right, and I hope that happens. But, that's just a hopeful optimist in me.
We got Jake. What's up, Jake? Chime in saying, "What's up, boys? I'd love for it to happen, but I disagree with the poll. I don't see this situation getting better anytime soon." And we got Clinky. What's up, Clinky? He's saying, did that stinky air move west to Pittsburgh because the Pens can't win shit? You guys are in a good position, though, so I wouldn't be too down on the Penguins right now.
Every team's going to have ebb and flows, man, highs and lows.
Yeah, pretty much. Penguins. Yeah, all the same. Benny's Dacious saying, not sure they rebound, especially if they start selling off pieces.
Well,
again, but to Brian's point, though, yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say, it all depends on what your definition of rebound is. Like I said, the poll question when I created it didn't necessarily mean, are they going to make a run for the playoffs? I think that this team, depending on the moves that are made, they can turn this negative season into a positive finish. That's kind of where I'm going with the poll question.
So you lawyered the poll question, so you're never wrong. I see what you did there. Nice.
Maddie, I don't know what you're talking about. Maddie, I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not knocking it. I like the hustle there. It's very, very well done. And we got Anthony saying,
there's like 7 different ways you could take this poll question. So
it is kind of funny how the Flyers named Daniel Briere as associate GM this late into the season, and then the final one is Ted saying, "Brodo, you got any sources of Harden landing in Philly?" I don't know.
Yeah, Ted was saying this might be the James Harden to Philly show. Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. We'll break it if it happens. You know what I mean? We're obviously, we'll stray away from the hockey world, but I don't know. I think that's, at this point, I'm thinking that's as likely as the Flyers turning around their season and making the playoffs. Hey, maybe both could happen. Crazier shit has gone down. What's up, Don Don?
Hey, Don Don. He says that he wishes that he was playing us today. Yeah, that's not till Saturday, unfortunately. So
no, mañana, tomorrow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's right, tomorrow. I forgot about that. Let's see here. And he's not a suicidal tendencies shirt, a municipal waste T-shirt actually. band that's kind of like Suicidal Tendencies. It's fast-paced, aggressive thrash punk. So saw them live, and I got punched in the face in the mosh pit there. So there you go.
I don't mosh anymore. I'm down for like 3 weeks if that happens.
Oh, this was years ago, though. This was a long time ago.
I can't do anything fun anymore at my age. What's up, Brad?
What's up, Brad?
Hey, Brad.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about. We're definitely going to be getting into your Rangers very much throughout this show, Brad. You're going to stick around.
Absolutely, because we'll be doing that mid-season review. Business just saying Brian worded it in a way where just because I'm right doesn't mean you're wrong.
Exactly. Benny, this is why we keep you around, Benny. You get me.
This is why we hired you. But
that's why I hired him.
Oh, you hired him. Oh,
I
okay.
hired this guy.
I see. Well, to be fair, I probably wasn't awake for the interviews. Anyway, so, gentlemen, after the first half of the Flyers season, we've talked about, could they rebound? My opinion, I don't think they will rebound in terms of them making the playoffs. I think that ship has sailed, and honestly, the organization has pretty much stated as such. Now, is it possible that most of the Metro teams could go on an absolute fucking slump and the Flyers could take full advantage of it? If that happens, then I'll be honest with you. If that happens, then it's our year. But if it's not, then most likely it's not going to happen. I think we're probably going to miss. But in terms of turning things around for positive, the way you can do that, to go off of what Brian is saying, is you can have a strong second half where even if you miss the playoffs, you don't miss by much. But at the same token, though, I kind of feel that it's like, I don't necessarily feel like you need to at this point. It's like, fuck it. Just get a better draft pick at this point in time. Who gives a shit? I mean, no team's going to do it, obviously. But I feel like, I know we're not going to get number one, but let's, it's supposed to be a deep draft this year. Let's try to pick a little bit higher. Right. You know what I mean? At this point.
Right.
Yeah. What's up, Mo?
Hey, what's up, Maura?
Hey.
She said, agree.
Yeah.
Can't get any worse, right?
that is, glass half full way of thinking that, it could go up from here. It can only go up from here. And that's, if you're just jumping in, Mo, that's the Brian's point, is that as you maybe start trading veterans and bringing in more Phantoms players onto the squad and having them develop, get maybe like that, well, it could be even Wade Allison himself, but that Wade Allison effect, where they come on the scene and make some noise, it could get better from here. At least building for the future, getting draft picks, like to Maddie's point, that you can still, stockpile or at least put yourself in a better position for a higher pick based on the lottery.
Yeah, and the best example of what you just said there, Robbie, is Jerry Mayhew. He's the guy that, obviously his first year in the Flyers organization, but spent a lot of the season down with the Phantoms, gets a call up, and he's brought a ton of energy to his line. And yeah, he's not going to light the world on fire. He's a role player.
He's a journeyman. Yeah.
He's a journeyman. Yeah. He's going to finish his checks. He's going to get down into the corners. He's going to lay some hits. He's going to get a goal here and there. But that's ideally, like, my thought process with this team now is, okay, let's see what we got. So now it's all right. Let's see if we can shift the mentality a little bit to, how can I put it? All right, let's start bringing guys up. Let's really start seeing what we have here, and because we don't want to go into full rebuild, let's start retooling a little. Let's really start seeing what we got. Like I said, Bobby Brink leading the NCAA, and I think it's points. So you got a guy there. You have a lot of positive things coming out about Tyson Forrester and his just work ethic alone. Same thing with Zayd Wisdom. Another guy who's progressing nicely, developing nicely, maybe a little bit slower than Forrester, but he has that same dog mentality. So, City of Philadelphia, this is the anniversary of the parade of the 2017 Super Bowl champ Eagles. just listened to Jason Kelsey give his speech not that long ago. So best way to say this, you got hungry dogs. Hungry dogs got to eat. So
That's right.
let's see what kind of dogs this team has drafted and see how many guys that Hextall and Fletcher have hit on in the last couple of years. It's not going to hurt you. If anything, it might help the draft position.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Clinky's saying, I don't think G will waive his no trade clause, but I think he should. Feel bad for the guy, and you can get pieces for him, as opposed to him walking at the end of the year, which is true. I don't know. I think G will, honestly, and I think the reason why is I think the organization will. I think that they would probably be able to talk him into it. I don't think he would want to, but I think just like, they would say, listen, just go get a cup. You know what I mean? Or go to a team that's going to give you the best chance to be in the playoffs and be successful in the playoffs. We can't do that. I think the organization will convince him to do it, honestly. I don't think he wants to, but I think that also, too, I get why they have to at this point, and I get why he should.
Yeah.
It's like, go get your cup, man. It's like our organization failed you, and it's time for you to do what you got to do for you. Simple as that. You've done everything you can for us. So,
well, Maddie, that's been the conjecture all day on Twitter. I've been seeing Drew Trent all day, and some of that stems from his All-Star game performance, winning MVP, but it leads into the conjecture of that he's just a loyalist, a very stubborn, strong Canadian man that is probably going to lean more towards not waiving it, to Mike's point here. That he wants to, begin and end his career a Philadelphia Flyer, right? And I get that, right? But now that he got a little taste being around other elite players around the league, having success in that situation. And I'm not going to equate winning the MVP of the All-Star game to hoisting Lord Stanley's Cup. It's night and day, but it's still all along that road, along that line, getting a taste of victory again. And, I said it when we first started talking about this weeks ago, and I'm sticking to it. What is the harm to waive your no trade clause? Trade him within the context of you're getting picks to a team that's going to basically be renting him for that playoff push, and then you sign back with the Flyers in the offseason and finish your career there. Right now, we were bringing up the possibility for Tarasenko. Now, in that context, the Blues are going to be trading for a trading sign. You know what I mean? But that could still happen down the road a few seasons. You can still come back to Philadelphia, but go get yourself a cup. You deserve it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
But doesn't it piss you off that when is it going to come here? Like, when are players going to come to fucking Philadelphia with a goddamn cup? I hate that. It's like we're always sending a person out to be like, yeah, go walk free, Simone Gagne in the land of kings. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck?
It's simply because the organization's got its head so firmly up its ass. It's as simple as that, unfortunately.
I think it goes a little bit deeper than that. And I think now, especially with Ed Snyder gone, with the culture of this organization not the same, and seeing where things are, it's less appealing for players to come here. Some of the younger guys are like, all right, yeah, I'll go to Philly. It's an opportunity for me. I'll have a better opportunity to get to the NHL maybe a little bit faster. I could be drafted in the first round, and next thing you know, oh yeah, I made the opening day roster in my rookie season on my first year. So it really is kind of like a double-edged sword because you have the good things about it. You also have the bad things about it. Good things being better draft picks, hopefully better players with those picks. But until you really start winning again, Philadelphia is not really a desirable place for some of these guys to go. You're more going to be able to swing, and as weird as this is going to sound, older players that, are towards the end of their career, a little long in the tooth, as Rob likes to say. And they're just looking for a place to play. You know, guys like, and I'm not saying that it's always this way, but guys like Zdeno Chara, Patrick Marleau, Joe Thornton's probably the best example right now because he's going from team to team. But on the other hand, there is he's cup searching there.
Yeah.
But those types of players are going to be what's attracted to Philly right now because they're going to be in that leadership, that mentor role, and they can actually take the reins and help some of these younger guys out. But until that culture change, no elite free agent's going to honestly want to come here, and I honestly wouldn't blame them.
Yeah, the Prism saying the question is, will Giroux do to the Flyers what Sundin did to the Maple Leafs? Good question.
There you go. There it is.
Refuse to be traded due to the love and loyalty to the city and not let the team get pieces for him. Here's the thing. The thing.
I mean, you good.
If Giroux did it, I really honestly wouldn't be upset anyway because, let's be honest here, like, yeah, could we use the pieces? Yes, you're absolutely right. We could use the pieces. But that's the problem and the risk you take of the no trade clause. You're the one who signed the contract for him to stay in Philadelphia because he was the best player you had and you knew it. That's the risk you ran. He doesn't have to leave if he doesn't want to. There's nothing wrong with that at the end of the day, you know?
I saw Jordan Hall tweeted out something earlier today, and it was, you know, they were starting off their the practice with their pre-practice stretch, and, you know, obviously the captain leads that, and they started tapping their sticks going MVP, like real, like fucking tribal, like, and Drew's just standing there around the circle with his head down, listening to him, and then he kind of just eases and skates his way into the center, and they all like erupt. Now that could go one of two ways. You could be like, you know, this is my team, this is my home. Why would I want to leave this home? But to me, my interpretation was almost like a send-off. And I wouldn't be surprised if you're seeing a little change in philosophy there, Priz, knowing that, look, he's got to do right by him. I mean, there's other concerns to this too, fellas. I mean, after all, you know, he does have a young child, you know, like do you want to uproot that child right at this juncture? You know what I mean? There's the human element too. So all will come into play, but hopefully, I mean, you know, you could always... That's why they made, like, you know, presidential suites at hotels. You know what I mean? Just ask Sean Payne. I just watched that movie that they did with Kevin James on his life and shit, home team last night. Finally got around to it. But anyway, ultimately, I think that you're going to see him make the right decision for the organization and for himself.
Yeah, and I guarantee you he's sitting down with his wife, and Gavin is a huge part of his decision here because Gavin's only known Philadelphia. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's the bright side to this for Claude anyway is that even if he doesn't waive his no trade clause this year, he can walk and go get a Stanley Cup next year. So it's not like the end of the world for him. But it's a situation where he and his family need to figure it out. And he's got time. I believe it's the last, what is it? The trade deadline's March 2nd, I believe?
I believe so.
Yeah. So it's not that, you know, it's not like it's tomorrow. So
right. He doesn't have to make a rash decision now. So he's got time. He's got time to figure it out.
Actually.
March 21st?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, he's got a ton of time. I didn't realize it was that. Wow, really? So they're giving these guys like essentially 2 weeks before the playoffs with their teams.
Pretty much.
Kind of late, right?
I was going to say, I feel like that's awfully late.
Although what you might not be adjusting for is that there was originally supposed to be the Olympic break, so the playoffs might be scheduled like 2 weeks later than they were.
Yeah. True. Yeah, that's probably what it is. But we got Renee chiming in. Let's go Flyers. What's up, Renee?
How are you, Renee?
And she also went on to say, Claude Giroux this year is going to win Lord Stanley's Cup, just like Ricky Tiki Rocket. and Mike Richards and Jeff Carter did with other teams. Obviously, Rick Tocchet, he won it with the Penguins, and Jeff Carter and Mike Richards, they won it with the Kings, obviously. So, which unfortunately, and Gagne too, by the way. So it's just one of those things where, you know, if it winds up being where Giroux does that, like you were saying, Rob, it'll just be another one of the former Flyers, who wound up winning a cup on another team because this organization is trash. But, you know, in the end, I mean, I hate to say it, gentlemen, we are slowly turning into the Buffalo Sabres. So, I mean, it's just getting there. We are on the road.
No,
we are on the road. It is coming.
No,
but anyway, our continual last place, never finishing rebuilds because we don't know what the fuck we're doing. Oh, it's just going to be enjoyable.
Oh, stop it, Matty. You're acting crazy now.
I don't think so. If you see this organization,
listen. As dysfunctional as this organization is, and it's very dysfunctional, there's no doubting that. Like we were talking about last week, I mean, Ryan Swoop, and I'm sure he'll be jumping in here soon. Is you brought up a great point. Everybody just needs to get on the same page. And sometimes that's the hardest part because you have a GM who sees things one way, you have a team president that sees things another way, and then you have the owner who sees things a third way. So if those three guys can get on the same page and get back to, square one, this organization is not crazy. This organization is not nearly as bad as Buffalo, where they have minimal talent and even less talent now after trading away their star player.
Okay.
There's dysfunction there.
Well, this happened
you
to
really think that this team is going to turn into like the Edmonton Oilers of the early 2000s?
Buffalo lost their original owner, and then when the Pagulas took over, the Sabres went to trash very, very quick. And the same thing might happen here in Philadelphia. A corporation takes over and the scouting
department in Buffalo has been trash. It's not because of
I'm
the
not
ownership.
saying. Have our scouts been spectacular? Not always.
Not the last couple of years, but at least there's some talent here. I mean, who do you got? Who do you got now that Jack Eichel's gone in Buffalo? You got Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh, well, they got rid of everybody else. So, yeah, but
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that was different. They were planning on just saying, fuck it, we're going to do a full-on rebuild again because the Jack Eichel experiment failed miserably. So,
I mean, don't get me wrong. I liked Kevin Adams as a player, but as a GM, he's doing a terrible job in Buffalo. And that's a part of their issue, too, is they haven't had a really good GM in a good handful of years. So, I mean, it all goes hand in hand together, Matty. So, but I don't think the Flyers are anywhere near the Buffalo Sabres right now.
I hope you are right. But Ted also says, come on, Sarah, you're telling me Philly isn't a desirable place?
No, when you call me Sarah, it's not.
And then Anthony's saying the problem is in Philly, there is no leader or communication on the ice. Frank's saying, hey, sorry to bother you at work. I disagree to the poll. Why am I yelling? And then Quickie also said, stop yelling. And then
Khaled over here. Why am I yelling?
It's so loud.
Renee was talking about Giroux there. Ted, the Flyers are not playing. Not tonight. They're not. So I guess they are winning because they're not playing. But and Renee's saying,
you win 1,000% of the games you don't play.
Yeah. Renee's saying, I'm going to cry on the trade deadline when he's gone, and I wish him the best. After he wins his cup, he can come back to the Flyers, win a cup with us. Unfortunately, if he comes back to Philadelphia, I don't know if the Flyers will be in position to win a cup still. So, Chris say Sagan for Giroux. I don't know. Sagan's injury prone. But he is a talented player.
That's why he wants to get rid of him.
Yeah, that's for Flyers need to trust the process. Yes. Ted saying we're not the Sabres because we still got Danny B.
Truth.
Are you guys annoyed Danny, another former Flyer, is going to be involved with drafting? Honestly, it is more of the same. And also, I will say I am skeptical because Danny has no experience. We did talk about this last week. Danny has no experience as a GM. He's held positions on hockey teams, none in the NHL, though. So he's been, I think, in the NAHL. I think he held a position there with the Maine Mariners. But other than that, though, he hasn't held a position in the NHL. So I am skeptical on it. In my opinion, I am.
And that's legitimate, and that's certainly legitimate. I mean, no experience coming in. It just seems like it's favoritism towards a former player. But let's try to, I know that's been the trend here in Philadelphia for the Flyers, but maybe you have to treat each man on a case-by-case basis. You might have a nose for it. You know what I mean?
Maybe.
I mean, it never worth. At this point, all things are worth trying, and he's just assistant to the GM. I mean, you know what I mean? It's not like you're hiring him to be your president of operations. You know what I mean?
Yes, Rob, I'm with you 100%. And how much control is he going to actually have? How much say in these moves is he actually going to have?
Well, I think
that's the question there.
I think we hit on it earlier. It depends on if Chuck Fletcher fucks up at all, and then we'll slowly start to see maybe his power become less and less, and Danny's becomes more and more increased over time. That's if Fletcher doesn't fix anything. So we'll see as we go down the line what this could turn into for Danny and for Chuck, really. So
I think regardless of Danny Briere, it's going to have no effect on Chuck Fletcher whatsoever. I think if Chuck Fletcher turns this thing around, it's going to be surely on Chuck. And if this thing continues to be beyond a dumpster fire like it has been, it's all on Chuck Fletcher because this is the roster that he put together and he has yet to really make a change to put them back into a position of hey, let's get this shit going. This team, we're better than what our record says. And they're not doing it. So, I mean, could this be a complete and total grooming thing for Danny Briere? Could be. Just to get the reins and get his feet wet to see what being an NHL GM is like. Who's to say that Danny Briere doesn't step down at the end of the year and not come back, Yeah. So there's a couple different ways that this can go. So I don't really necessarily want to speculate until we get more of an idea of what his actual role is going to be within the organization now.
Yeah, but I mean, you make a good point. Like he hasn't had that experience on the NHL level, so this is a good way to get it. Wanted to shift gears real quick with you, Brian, since we have this moment, and we've been talking about a lot of lowlights of the first half of the Flyers. Any highlights for you from the first half? Guys that stood out, accomplishments.
I will say this, and I know we've been talking about him a lot lately, is Claude Giroux's play this year, I think, has been a highlight for this team. He's been playing with a little bit more energy. His point production is still there. He's still playing with some fight. So he's been one of the highlights. All the gritty players, all the role players. Scotty Lawton, again, is another guy who I think has been, despite the play of the rest of the guys on the ice, his play has stuck out a little bit more because he's been, another guy that's going out there and putting forth the energy and getting into dirty areas, playing physical, getting in guys' faces, getting some penalties to go the Flyers' way, despite the fact that the power play can't seem to convert on him anyway. But there have been some highlights, and yeah, the Cam Atkinson trade as well. Priz, you're spot on there. I mean, he's been great for the Flyers since coming over, and he's even playing to the fan base as saying that, I was born to wear this jersey. I was born to be in Philadelphia and play for the Flyers. Like that's a guy that gives it to you every night. He puts it out there every night, and you know what you're getting from him now. And I think he's been great. I mean, his points are about par for the season at this point, but I think he's been great. I think him and Giroux have been really good together, especially the last couple weeks. Given him, those two are just really feeding off of each other and creating a lot of energy. It's just a shame they can't seem to find ways to win these hockey games.
Yeah, no, that's true, man. I mean, recently we saw like Drew take a couple leaps up on the all-time flyer list in various statistical categories. The good and the bad with Yandel, he did set that Ironman streak just lit recently, and that's something big for the league overall. But ultimately, when you're talking about things that you could build on for the future, well, you lost Ryan Ellis 4 games into the season. Virtually, he came back that one brief moment, but was right back out. Right, so you're back to a hurt, a deplete, like a one rung taken out of the ladder of their defensive core. But yet, people want to pick on Carter Hart. They want. If you look at the statistics, they're back to that first and second year level with the save percentage and the goals against. Nothing to write home about yet, but at least back up to that level. So I like how Carter mentally has rebounded from really just a quarantine lockdown season that fucked with his sports psyche, and to come back to out there and it not become a thing, not allowing it, putting in the work, putting in the effort, and it's showing on the ice. So, I mean, that's big too. If you're talking about this is the guy that you're going to be committed to as, potentially the new face of the franchise, if indeed Claude Giroux is traded. I think it has to be now your franchise goalie. Like they'll name a captain, of course, and that'll be the leadership phase. But in terms of the franchise base, it'll be on Carter's shoulders.
So I want to get both of your guys' opinions on this one real quick while Maddie's back. So let's say Claude waives a no trade clause, and he gets traded away. Do you guys think they give the C to somebody right away? Or do you think they hold off and wait to see who steps up?
I think they hold off. I don't think they're going to immediately announce a captain right off the bat. Because, for one thing, Coots is still out too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's one. And he was the guy that you would have had in the running for it. So I don't know if they would immediately want to announce the captain. I think Atkinson would probably be up for that possibility. Hayes is also out too, and I think that would be somebody that they would consider. I think they would wait because there's a few guys that are sitting on the sidelines that could conceivably take the C, but they're not here on the roster right now. So I think they'd hold off.
Yeah, multiple alternate captains on this team. Now, mind you, Coots being one of them being out doesn't play into that so far because I do believe we won't see him for the rest of the season, especially if they continue to be on the outside looking into the playoffs. But if you rock a 2 to 3 alternate captain, you could ride that out for the rest of the season as you rebuild and then name it going into the next season. I think that's personally how I would handle it. You know what I mean? Especially, I think it's practical based on everything I just said there, but also you pay respect to the man that just left with the C, that you're not that easily replaceable.
I agree. I mean, I didn't think about Rob's point of view on this, Maddie. I was more thinking like your point of view, but that's the same mindset that I have with you guys. Is no, I don't think you name a captain with the situation that they're in right now. I think you wait to see who steps up and who really takes the mantle there. And yeah, you got names on the sidelines, absolutely, that you could, consider. Coots, Hayes, Ellis. There's guys there that you can absolutely consider. But I think you not only not name one this year, I don't think you name one next year and really see who steps up, especially with some of the young guns. So maybe you go with a younger guy who has really stepped up instead of going with an NHL vet. Kind of like what the Penguins did with Crosby. Pretty much as soon as he came in, boom, he got to see. Who else did that? Ovechkin didn't get to see until later in his career. Tavares is wearing the C in Toronto. Laine never got a letter. Heiskanen doesn't. I think Heiskanen wears an A while Jordy Ben is still wearing the C. So, I mean, you can. There's guys there, and there's examples of younger guys really stepping up into the leadership roles. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't necessarily know if, for me personally, I don't know if you name a captain until after the end of next year, just because you really want to see who steps up.
Benny's wants to know, what would you consider a fair return for G? I think we were talking about, being an NHL level prospect picks as well were being thrown out there. I think that's what we were looking at as a fair return. I know that there are some rumors going around that they would just trade an NHL vet for Giroux and maybe a few picks. But that's been with a couple of teams. One was the Flames, which I think will not happen because I don't think the Flames are in a very advantageous position when it comes to trading right now. The Blues, obviously, we talked about the Tarasenko thing, and he would be a vet coming in. So there's there is that, but I think it's more of a NHL ready prospect, and picks I think would be the best return for him, honestly.
I'm not even necessarily going to say prospects. Give me a couple NHL ready guys that are, a little bit higher on your prospect list than others. Obviously, I would, if I'm going to go down that route, I want 2 prospects and I want a first round pick for Claude Giroux. Honestly, I'd go as low as a second round pick, but you got to throw in another player. Doesn't necessarily need to be NHL ready, but I want a haul for Claude Giroux, not just because of his point production this year or his past production, but because of there's a ton of value there. We, as the fan base and anybody who really watches hockey on a religious basis knows how good Claude Giroux is. And he hasn't really, personally, I don't think he's really taken a step back yet. Has he regressed once in a while in games? Yeah. I mean, every player is going to have a bad game here and there. But for the most part, he hasn't played really well with some of his linemen because they haven't really put a ton around him. Now, we've seen what he can do with talent. I mean, yeah, it's the All-Star game. They don't really play defense in the All-Star game. It's 3-on-3 or whatever. But look at the chemistry he had with Jake Gensel, a stud winger for the Penguins. Just an example.
Don't get that right out of your mouth, man.
Yeah, I was thinking,
don't go to Pittsburgh, man. You're gonna have to buy me. There's gonna be I'm gonna be a missing person for a while.
I'm not saying he's going to Pittsburgh because I don't know if Pittsburgh actually has a cap room for that. But
also, I don't know if the Flyers would trade him to Pittsburgh. Honestly.
No.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that battle that him and Crosby had, and all of a sudden they're teammates? That would be
a horrible sight. Honestly, that'd be one of the most disgusting things I think I've ever seen in the NHL since the Blackhawks scandal.
But all I'm saying is, G with a talented winger is a very dangerous forward. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I got you.
No, you are correct in that. And it's saying, I like the Briere move. Finally, we got someone in this organization that hates losing. I hope that translates.
I really do. What's up, man? How you doing, buddy?
Wahoo 56. Hi, guys. What's up, Wahoo?
Hey, Wahoo.
Ted, Ellis can't be the new C. He's never on the ice. I'm sure McDavid got it early, too. Yeah, I think McDavid got it right out of the draft. Yeah. But, I mean, that was kind of a given. It's like, he's...
But again, the reason why I brought up those guys, and this didn't translate to every single organization within the last couple of years, but if you look at some of these guys with those franchise-changing players, like a Crosby, like an Ovechkin, like McDavid. Austin Matthews isn't going to get to see until Tavares is out of there, but those guys get the captaincy at a young age, and they build and grow with it. So I'm not saying the Flyers have that guy right now, but if they can get, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but let's just speculate here real quick. Say they get the number 1 overall, they get Shane Wright. He's a franchise-changing player.
He is.
And I would consider slapping the C on him right away and let him grow with the organization, because obviously he's going to be the piece you continue to build around. And that's, again, something I think this organization has suffered with was building around certain players.
They had a hard time building around Giroux, so I mean it's one of those things, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we obviously it's all speculation right now, but we'll see what happens as time passes. But to me, I don't put the C on anybody right away, and I wait until we get somebody that's young enough and he's an elite level franchise changing type of player like a Shane Wright, Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid. So, I mean, with the way things are going in Edmonton right now, I wouldn't be surprised if Connor McDavid sits there and says, I'm done. Get me out of here. It could happen.
If that happens,
Leon Draisaitl's already fed up with the organization.
Oh,
he's not going to be gone.
I'm just saying. I know you're not wrong in that. It's just it would be funny as hell if that does happen to be like, wow, Edmonton, you literally just cornholed yourself so hard. I mean, I thought the Flyers like shooting themselves in the foot. Holy shit! You guys not only shot yourself in the foot, you shot yourself in the fucking head. I'm like, God damn, guys, seriously, you shouldn't put a gun in your hands. But anyway, Jesse's saying Flyers stink. And then Anthony saying, just give me a player that is vocal on the ice and often picks for G. And Jesse saying, wasn't I saying the last 3 months I hate bringing in former Flyers, but I'd hire Briere for head coach? I was kind of right. And then Ted said, we're not allowed to win the lottery. You are right. Benny Station says, I think Farabee will get the C eventually. That's interesting.
He absolutely could.
Yeah.
I like that.
And Ant saying right here to answer your poll question, I do think the Flyers will rebound the second half of the season and screw up getting a top 5 draft pick. They can't win when you want them to, and can't lose when they should. Yeah.
Unfortunately, Ant's right.
Yeah, it's sums it up. Yeah, nothing but facts there. What game are you guys watching? Well, I'm watching the Blue Jackets and the Capitals. It's actually a very competitive game between the two teams.
I'm watching the blowout in Carolina against the Ottawa Senators. Senators up 4-0 right now in the second intermission.
Over a standout Carolina Hurricanes team too in the Metro Division.
Goes to show you, man. They're on a back-to-back too. They're on the second half of a back-to-back, so they're probably a little tired after playing a game in Toronto last night. It's not a heavy travel day, but playing back-to-back games is never easy, especially against a team that's well-rested like Ottawa and younger.
Yeah. Ted said, could you imagine the Flyers get McDavid, Sixers get Hart, and Eagles get Wilson? If that happened, then Philadelphia officially won its offseasons in every way of regard on that one.
But the city would just erupt in the flames. Everybody would be ecstatic.
I don't want Russ, though. I don't want Russ.
That's it.
Why? Why bring in a 34, 35-year-old quarterback? Come on.
Don't you dare question the Eagles. They know what they're doing.
Come on. That's a total Howie move, though. It's a total Howie move, though. What's up, Dylan?
See. Dylan saying, what's going on, guys? I am ready for Eichel to murder us tomorrow night if he plays. It's scripted that he plays against the team that almost got him. I
haven't heard much on him as far as his recovery. I know he's been skating. I didn't know if he's been cleared for contact or anything yet. I know every day he's getting closer and he's getting healthier, and I know he's feeling good. But other than that, I don't know how close he's actually playing yet. But that would be fitting.
And let's see here. We got Joe saying, I was at the Flyers-Canadiens game on this day 4 years ago, and the reason I remember is because I was exhausted because I went to the game straight from the Eagles championship parade. Good times. Seems like a million years ago.
It does.
Hey, it Joe.
Does. Great days. Joe, hope you're doing well, brother.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And let's see here. Jesse, Hall is the most hated player in the NHL in Colorado right now.
Yeah, but it was a clean hit, though, and it just kind of – it was a clean hit. That's all I can say. His shoulder went in square into his chest. His visor got bumped and broke his nose. Or, no, I'm sorry, it wasn't It was his stick. He got his nose broke by his own stick. His own stick came up and hit him in the face.
Ow.
Yeah, so it was a clean. I mean, it was a clean hit. It was a clean hit. It was a good open ice hit by Taylor Hall. It's just, yeah, he is the most hated guy in Colorado right now.
Let's see, Anthony. The Flyers need to trade for Evander Kane. No, Anthony. What the hell is wrong with you?
Patrick Kane, maybe.
Not. Evander Kane. I would never want. I didn't want Evander Kane on the fucking Sharks. Although he ironically played okay for them. Anyway. Then he cornholed himself out. But anyway, Dylan cleared for contract yesterday. I hope Goodbranson levels him.
For an Eichel. All right, so Eichel's making a comeback soon in a Pacific Division that right now is incredibly tough and a lot closer than it probably should be, honestly.
And then Dylan said Flames nailed their deadline players down to 4. They are Hurdle, JT Miller, Pavelski, and Giroux. They want one of those. Yeah, I heard about the Giroux thing with the Flames. Again, I'm not 100% sure that Giroux goes to the Flames. That's one of those teams I was unsure of. I could see them getting in the running for maybe a Hurdle, maybe a Pavelski. I could see that happening. Miller, I'm not so sure, but Giroux, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about Giroux. It depends on what the Flames are willing to give up, because I don't know. It just seems like the Flames could use all the help they can get, and it would be risky to give anything up at this point.
Flames are not in terrible position right now. I think
they're not.
With those 4 guys, though, I would definitely kind of move my targets a little more to maybe Pavelski or Giroux because of their leadership abilities, and I think that's going to be huge, especially come playoff time. Pavelski's showing that he's still got it. And Giroux is, I believe, and I'll have to look this up just to double check and make sure I'm right, is still a point and a half per game player. So, I mean, you can't really go wrong with any of those 4 guys. That's definitely an improvement, but it's just a matter of what are they giving up to get in return, to get that return, you know what I mean? So we'll have to analyze that a little bit more when that trade actually goes down.
Yeah. When Dylan saying Flames need a second line center, Mikhail Backlund, Monahan should not be centering Blake Coleman and Andrew Mangiapane.
That's really funny that everybody. I'm not saying that everybody's down on Monahan, but the hype behind Sean Monahan isn't what it was. That's just crazy. I wonder if that has to do with just the system they're running in Calgary with their head coach.
Might be. Joe saying Flyers wasted Giroux's career, Phillies are wasting Harper's, and the Sixers are wasting Embiid. At least Philadelphia is good at something.
Wasted talent, nothing worse.
I say Giroux goes to Montreal or Winnipeg, and I don't think Montreal or Winnipeg would be a destination for him, honestly. Patrick Phillips saying, when has Giroux ever demonstrated leadership abilities? A lot, Phillips. A lot. But anyway, moving on.
Hang on, I want him to give us an example of when hasn't he? Because leadership isn't always putting the puck in the back of the net. Let's just keep that in mind.
Yes, there's plenty of other ways to show your leadership abilities. But
all right, maybe he's a little bit less than a point per player, point per game player at the moment. But I mean, a lot of that has to do with who's been on his line lately, and they don't give him the sniper that he needs. And when they do, he puts up 100 and some odd points. So you got that there. So that's a benefit. But even still,
I think it's a guy that always takes ownership and accountability after every loss. Every loss. If you watch obviously this is probably coming from outside the fan base, this comment, so they're not watching the interviews after the games or what have you. A guy that's constantly barking on and off the ice, both at the refs, at the other team, at his own players, basically stating how they need to be better from period to period, you know what I mean, in every interaction. So, I mean, I don't know what more you want from a captain. I mean, there's guys that will be more vocal than others, but it's more leading by example. That's, to me, is the definition of a good captain, no matter what you're talking about, hockey or anything in life.
Yeah, and he has his teammates' backs. This is a guy that is not known for fighting. I don't think he's ever had an actual fight in his career. but is a guy that whenever there's a scrum involved and it is involving somebody on his team, he's jumping in. It doesn't matter who it is. So that's another leadership aspect. He's always got his teams back. And again, I just like to hear what he has to say about when hasn't he? And I know he's probably going to bring up he disappears in the playoffs.
So, you mean the excuse
like
everybody
97% of the rest of the roster the last few years.
Everyone else.
So it ain't just on Giroux.
And a completely a terribly structured team too that disappears.
Notorious coaster. What the hell are you talking about?
He's highly skilled.
Where is he coasted?
I don't know what you mean by coasting. That seems to be, if anything, people have been coasting on him. If anything else,
I would say that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about that one because anytime you put anybody else on the line with him, and there have been a few guys who shouldn't be on top line with him that have been on the line, they had some great seasons with him.
Atkinson needs to stay on that line. I like those two together. Hurricanes are finally on the board.
Perfect example. What was it? Michael Raffle for a short time was on that for top line. He had one of his best years playing with Giroux. So, and Raffle had no business being on the first line, but he was there. So again, I would argue the opposite of that. I think people have coasted on him more than he's coasted because I don't know who he could have coasted on. It's not like the Flyer. He's coasting on Voracek? Who the fuck would he have been coasting on this entire time?
He doesn't make an Olympic team, so what?
The Olympics doesn't mean shit when it comes to that. It's a popularity contest. Really, when you get right down to it. It's whoever they feel like it.
No, I mean, with all right, I got to come back here. When talking about Team Canada, that's a pretty tough squad to crack, Patrick. Come on, right?
Yeah.
Right, for one, but not to make excuses. If he is that elite, he should crack it. Well, I believe he has. I don't think this is a guy that's constantly been left off of Olympic teams. If you go back, he wasn't on the most recent. He won't be this year. Obviously, none of them will, but
I don't think he has been, but that's not his fault. You want to know why? Because the NHL stopped going to the Olympics.
In
2010, they
not turning you down. Who's to say they didn't offer him the spot on Team Canada, and he's just like.
In 2010, he was up for it, but Getzlaf got it instead. And then after that, they stopped going to the after 2012, I believe that was when they started going. They stopped going to the playoffs in Sochi. That was the last time the pros were there. And they didn't go this year because of the pandemic. And they weren't at Pyeongchang because the NHL made it vehemently clear they weren't going back to the NHL. So there's been a couple of times where he hasn't really had the chance. So it's not really his fault. The NHL chose not to go.
Yeah. I was thinking of Jeff Carter. That's my bad. I'll eat some crow on that. I'm going to put myself in timeout.
Where do you just anyway? But I mean, even to go on to say that he's not a super, how is he not a superstar? The Flyers haven't put enough talent around him, and when he finally has the talent around him, he puts up numbers. I mean, look at again, bad example, but the All-Star game isn't a fluke. That's Claude Giroux. He's got filthy mitts. He's got great vision. He meets a sniper on his line that he's never actually had. He had Yager 1 year, and that was the best year of his career. And he was the first Flyer since Eric Lindros to put up 100 points in a season.
Yeah,
this organization has handcuffed Claude Giroux.
But
in so many different ways.
But you want to talk superstar, right? How many times do we have to go back through the numbers over the past decade and show him at the top of the list of Alex Ovechkin, Phil Kessel, Sidney Crosby, Backstrom? I mean, I even without putting around, you know what I mean? The man still produces. It just there's guys that go that are taken for granted, and I think Giroux's one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is at this point. He's an all-star, no more. So
that's Danny Heatley.
Yeah.
That's Danny Heatley. He's the all-star. Sorry, he's the fucking all-star.
Don Patrick Laine. Yeah. But
he's gonna cost a little bit, and then I think he's an RFA at the end of the year. I mean, you could wind up trading Laine, but I mean, the Flyers are in a position right now that they really. I mean, you can bring in a Laine. He's 24 years old, but the question continues to be: do you hold on to Giroux?
Yeah. Well, that's going to be the big question, but that will be a question the Flyers will have to answer. We'll get an answer from that by the time the trade deadline rolls around. Will he waive his no-trade clause, and will he go to another team to go pursue a Stanley Cup? And what will the Flyers get back in return for him? Well, we'll have to find out later on, won't we? Or maybe he chooses not to waive his no-trade clause and stays in an orange and black jersey for the rest of the season. But with that, takes care of our first period of the day, and
we appreciate the comments, Patrick. We always do, brother. We appreciate it.
We do. We love debating with people. That's what we're here for. That's why it's A2D. Agree to disagree. You can have a different opinion on Giroux than we have all the time. So
nobody gets butthurt here, man. We like to frolic and then we all freaking hug it out at the end of the night, eating dinner. Absolutely.
Well, if I wasn't in North Carolina, I'd say, Patrick, let's go have a beer.
Yeah. So keep the comments rolling in. He did go on and say too expensive, boys. Honestly, that was just that contract was because that's what everybody else was doing at the time. Honestly, the Flyers were just doing what everyone else was at that moment. Everybody was giving their
players. It's not what the Flyers are doing. It's what the agent is saying. Hey, this is the market for my player.
And everybody's superstar was getting that. You know. Don, no, they hate you, Patrick. Don's funny.
Not true. Don't listen to Don.
Yeah. And Dylan saying Briere licking his lips to get that GM job in the offseason. just see Danny just sitting there in the corner just with an evil grin on his face. But anyway. All right, guys. So.
It's freaking me out a lot.
All right, so our poll question sponsor was Manscaped, by the way. If you guys want to take a look there, and he says, "Love ya. I'm a Canadian who loves the Flyers since '74." Well, it's nice to have you on board,
brother. Man. All good.
Hey, we're happy to have you. All right then. And Manscaped was the sponsor of our lovely poll question here. And one thing that you need in the world, not just in terms of getting the ladies, don't get me wrong, you need it to get the ladies, but you also need it for everything in life. If there's one thing in life that breeds good things, it's confidence. If you have confidence in yourself, you can achieve almost anything. Literally, you might become the leader of the freaking world if you're confident enough. Seriously. So be confident in yourself. Get Manscaped. Unlock it. Get 20% off with free shipping with the A2D code at manscaped.com and unlock your confidence today, gents. Once you get that confidence, it's not just the pretty ladies that come to you. It's everything else, too, on top of it. All right.
And Valentine's Day is coming up here, boys, so you got to get your shit cleaned up for your ladies.
That's true. That is very, very true. That big old date night on that Valentine's Day and something special afterwards. Ain't going to be anything special if you got what there, Brian?
That junk funk.
Yeah. They're not going to want that. Oh, and the first comment sponsor, we got Gleason's Bar and Grill. And located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. Use promo code A2D for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out, or you go online at Gleason'sBarandSteaks.com if you want to get yourself something good to eat and you're in the Levittown, PA area. And then our first period sponsor, if you are looking to buy or sell a home, or if you got a change of career and brokerage, you're taking a big step in life, and the last thing you want to do is get it wrong. Alan Foy, eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820, or visit them at the web at alan.foy at exprealty.com. Make sure that step is taken properly. All right, and now we begin our breakdown of the Eastern Conference first half of the season. So we'll be going through. Oops, that's the wrong poll question. Let me pull up the right one. Sorry.
I do agree to that one, though.
Yeah.
I do agree to that poll. Aaron Donald will win the Super Bowl MVP because I do think that the Rams are going to win the Super Bowl.
No way, man. Stafford. Trust me. I got the prop bet placed.
I had a feeling that was going
Stafford MVP. Stafford MVP.
I had a weird feeling you were going to say that.
You want to talk about a guy who deserves a Super Bowl? That guy deserves a Super Bowl.
For sure.
Spent 10 years in Detroit. That would do that to anybody.
Jesse Boo, go Cincy.
Sorry, Don.
All right. So, gentlemen, it is time for us to review the second half of the Eastern Conference for the season. And it is crazy to think we're halfway through the season. It seems like only just about a week ago we were talking about how the Flyers were kicking ass and taking names at the beginning of the season, only for it to all blow up in our faces. But here we are, so one whole half in, and we've got our situation set up the way it is. And Tom's saying, "What's up, boys? What's up, Tommy?"
What's up, Tommy?
Yo.
Anthony said,
like he does every other week, telling me to go to hell. It's all good.
Yeah, usual. And Anthony was saying he wants the Bengals to win the Super Bowl. And let me just pop up the standings here for the NHL so that way we can review some of these teams, shall we, gentlemen? But, yeah, Rob.
I said that'll be fun.
Jesse's comment here. This is probably the first Super Bowl in the second year QB has more experience than a 15-year vet.
I'd say their experience is about the same. Because, I mean, again, Stafford played in Detroit. I think he played in one playoff game in his career, and he lost that game. Again, sorry, Don. I do love you, I swear.
Let's gotta factor in some of the national championship for Mr. Burrow there too or whatever. I mean that's big game experience too. So I mean I don't think this is going to be a fun Super Bowl because I don't think anybody's going to be sad who wins. You know what I mean? Like there's not that evil empire team that's involved in this one. Just arbitrary teams unless you're in each individual city.
Don. Nope. 3 playoffs, you dickbag.
How many did you win?
No.
Oh, wait. None. Sorry.
And then just Joe Burrow has never lost a playoff game at any level.
Right.
Oh,
that's
boy.
crazy to think about. But anyway, back to hockey.
So, gentlemen, on the Eastern Conference, do you want to start with the home Metro Division or do you want to go to the other side, the Atlantic?
Let's do, we're already talking Flyers. Let's stay in the Metro.
All right. So we talked about the Flyers, so we won't need to worry about them. Last place is the Devils. I mean, so far it's been pretty much the same for them. Young players, they just need to make it gel, really, at the end of the day. I mean, they've got them. Can't argue that they don't.
They had a real good swing of games, though, in the middle portion of this first half. They've been just sucking the nut past 10, though. 1-9-0, lost 7 straight. And you got to scratch your head because there's a lot of young talent on that team, and it's only a matter of time before it comes together. We saw the skill set of Jack Hughes displayed out in Vegas this past weekend.
That's true. Do you think that it might be that they just don't have the right veterans out there? I mean, obviously Subban isn't what he used to be, and Dougie Hamilton should be able to rear the defense.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I mean, you got Tomas Tatar out there as well, right?
Yeah, you do.
So I mean, they have. I mean, like I said, I think it's getting consistent goaltending. Defense has been an Achilles heel. I've seen what's his name? I want to say his last name's Wood, a defenseman for the Devils. He was very talented last season. He's kind of taken a step back to a degree this season, in my opinion.
Talking about Miles Wood?
I believe it's Miles Wood, yeah.
Yes.
For some reason, the Devils love the last name Wood because they got Blackwood, you got Wood, you got all kinds of that going on over there in the Devils locker room.
As long as they don't have to worry about Morning Wood.
Apparently they went and visited Manscaped. Anyway.
But I mean, yeah, Devils have a ton of young talent. I think they're still waiting on a few pieces to come up. Obviously, Jack's brother, Luke, coming up. So they're going to be waiting on him another year or two at least. But they do have the talent. Nico Herscher, I think, needs to step up a little bit more. Jack Hughes is really starting to break out now. There's pieces in place. My one question
That's
for
right,
them
Anthony.
is
That's right.
I got leaving that one alone. The Devils just need to put it together. I think with them, I think their coaching situation isn't the best, and I think that's a lot of the reason why they're starting. Like they started off the season really, really strong. Like he was like, oh, okay, maybe the Devils are going to finally make some noise this year. Maybe this is the year they finally put it together.
Yep.
Clearly not. So maybe with the with the young piece you have in place, you have some good vets in place as well. Obviously, you're gonna move PK Subban probably within the next year or two.
I think
Get
Patrick's
some pieces
already
for that. Get him off the books. That frees up a spot for maybe Luke Hughes.
True. I think
Maybe they make
Patrick's
some noise
already
next year, but I mean, when your point differential is minus 40, it usually means you're not putting many goals and you're not putting the pucks in the back of the net that often.
Yeah, that's true.
Obviously, they need to get their offense going as well as their defense.
Yeah, maybe that's where they just need a little bit of veteran. Maybe get a veteran goal scorer that can really kind of ramp it up, get them going, and kind of say like, "Yeah, let's try this," and maybe that'll do it for them.
Yeah, I mean, they went out this past offseason and made a huge splash getting Dougie Hamilton, which is the name you guys just brought up a couple minutes ago. But he can only do so much. I mean, he is definitely an offensive defenseman that they need and a quarterback for that power play, and that power play has not been terrible.
Yeah.
Despite the average, but they are still a team very much in the works, and maybe like another 2 years off, I think. But they definitely need to get some of these guys out, and I think PK is one of them.
And I think Patrick's already perfectly fitting in right here. Just saying, dicks. I think that describes the Devils very well. Moving on. So the Flyers are 7th. We could skip over that. We already talked about that. The Islanders currently sitting at 38 points, same as the Flyers. Whew, you talk about an absolute fall to earth. They fell to earth and they splatted right all over the pavement. I mean, goddamn. This was a team we were thinking would possibly be competitive for a cup this year, and it just has not panned out for them whatsoever. So,
I mean, they are on the upswing, though. Because they started off that putrid, in the basement, and I mean they were 5-5 over their last 10, but before that they were raging hot. And so I mean, if you think about like teams that could maybe make a push that are way out of it, that realm of possibility still lies out there for Islanders fans.
True.
Yeah, I mean this is 5-5 in the last 10, so they're putting something together.
This isn't unheard of from the Islanders, where they'll go cold at times, because they were even going cold when they were making those runs. There were times where they didn't look like themselves, they didn't play like themselves. Don't get me wrong, last year, shortened season, they were able to rebound and keep their momentum going, which led them to getting into the playoffs in a good, advantageous position, and they got pretty far again. But the bubble, too, they were cold going into the bubble, and then they just clicked. And no one could stop them except Tampa. So, again, it's not unheard of for the Islanders to go cold, and maybe I think that might lend more credence to Rob here. Rob, it would make sense. It's like maybe they're just cold right now in the first half, and they'll pick it back up in the second half. Now, is that good enough for them to get in this year? I would argue and say no. Does that mean that it's impossible? No. Stranger things have happened. But I don't know. It might just because the bar is set just a little too high, they wouldn't be able to. But
let's not forget they've been minus Ryan Pulock since the middle of November.
That's true.
And basically with I think he had an initial diagnosis of 4 to 6 weeks, and so he should be getting close to being fully healthy to come back into the squad too. It'd be a little shot to the arm.
True. that'll absolutely be a huge positive for them.
But definitely on the blue line, for sure. I mean, Pelech and Pollock have been a backbone for that defensive core for the past few seasons. And, I mean, the Flyers saw that firsthand in the playoffs not too long ago.
True. Because, I mean, it's weird that maybe it's – my thinking of it is maybe it's the full 82. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's just the season itself that they have a hard time staying consistent in. Maybe that's what it is. Because they did well in a shortened season, they're really good in the playoffs. It seems like this team's really good for the playoffs. They just need to keep it going during a regular season, and they seem to have a little bit of trouble with it. That, to me, seems to be what it is.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the way that this team is built. I mean, outside of Matthew Barzal and Anders Lee, there's, no huge, superstars on this team. A lack of consistency from Ilya Sorokin, who a lot of people thought it was going to be the answer for the New York Islanders is a big part of the reason of their lack of success. Semyon Varlamov clearly still that guy. I should say the guy with the New York Islanders as a goaltender. Again, has had some consistency issues this year. Not that goaltender that he was last year. But again, I mean, some injuries for the Islanders have hurt moving forward, but I mean, like I said, if you really look up and down this lineup, there's no real superstars. They're just role players. I mean, Anthony Beauvillier, good player, not a superstar.
True.
Matthew Barzal, superstar. Anders Lee, superstar. Josh Bailey, really good player, but again, not a superstar. And I'm a big fan of Josh Bailey and the type of game that he does play. On the defensive side, you got Wahlstrom, who's a very good young player, not yet a superstar, but I think can get to that level. Pelech is another really good one. Pollock, again, another key part to that defensive core that isn't there. So, there's just a couple holes here for them. And I think if you fill the holes nicely, because with the new arena in New York now for the Islanders, I think they could lure a couple nice, really good free agents to that organization. And I think the Islanders are right back to the playoffs next year.
All right.
Yeah, I think that's possible.
JG Pageau, I don't think has really been that great for the Islanders since coming over in the trade from Ottawa.
True. He did kind of go MIA in the playoffs last year, which did hurt them in the long run because when they went up against Tampa, they took them to 7 games, but ultimately Tampa just outlasted them with that kind of team that they had. So,
yeah. And they lost Jordan Eberle too, so that hurts.
That's a huge loss.
Kyle Palmieri, another good player. But he's not I don't think he's really what he once was. I don't know how well he's really fitting into the system that Barry Trotz likes to run.
Yeah, it could be that too, It's a lot to talk about there with the Islanders, are they as structurally sound as they appeared to be? Maybe not. Maybe they need to take a look at the foundations, maybe make a few adjustments and alterations to make sure it doesn't collapse. But next up, we have the Blue Jackets, and I know in the shootout, one of our things is a surprise team, and I could honestly say this should be a candidate because I don't think anyone expected the Blue Jackets to have 41 points midway through the season. It looked like this team was in free fall, and then they got rid of John Tortorella, and they traded off several players, including Cam Atkinson and Dubois, and don't get me wrong, they got Patrick Laine in return. They got Jake Voracek in return, but Voracek has, one whopping goal for them? So
yeah, he's also got almost 30 assists.
There is that, yeah. So he has been doing on the assisting side of things. But, again, this seemed like a team that was in a lot of trouble. But they came out this year swinging, and they really only fell to earth a little bit afterwards, but they fell to earth pretty hard, though. However, they're 5th, and they actually are in a better position than most. Gentlemen, what do you think led to this? Do you think that it's just because the Blue Jackets were free of Tortorella, and that's what led to this kind of a season? Or do you think it's something else? Do you think that it's a vibe from one of the players?
I think it's the goaltending. Elvis Merlinkins has been stellar between the pipes for them, and they've based their team around defense first. That's probably why you're seeing lower on the score sheets, maybe guys doing those intangibles away from the puck more, working a system.
Yeah, I mean, Korpisalo is still putting up a pretty good, having a I don't want to say a great season, but he's having an okay season. I mean, his goals against the save percentage could definitely go up. But not horrible. But yeah, I mean, they're familiar with the system that they're running now with their former assistant coach and now head coach, who was under John Tortorella, was very, very defense first, working the intangibles. They're not going to be that flashy team that's going to go out there and just absolutely destroy you guys 7-2, 6-2. They're not going to have those high scoring games. They do have, I mean, they don't really have any like real goal scorers. I mean, they have Patrick Laine, but Patrick Laine isn't that guy that he was in Winnipeg. Could have something to do with where he is. Could have something to do with the guys that he's on the line with. But I mean, Columbus still has some good players, Boone Jenner and Voracek, Zach Werenski still on the blue line. So there's still some solid players there, some good leadership there. It's just, I think they're another team that's similar to the Islanders where they don't have a superstar anymore. Max Domi isn't the player he once was, which is really crazy to say considering I think he's only like 26 or 27. He really showed up and was really good in Arizona. And then he was pretty solid in Montreal. And you trade away Josh Anderson, who I thought was a really good right winger for the Columbus Blue Jackets to get Max Domi. To me, I thought that was a bit of a dumb trade because I think Josh Anderson has been better for the Canadians than Max Domi has been for the Blue Jackets. And I think that's another reason why this team seems to be struggling as well.
Yeah, it's a good point to bring up there. Patrick Phillips saying, I agree. And Anthony saying Max Domi is on the wrong team.
I don't disagree with that one bit. I don't think he works well in that system that Columbus has.
And let's see here. So the Blue Jackets right now sitting in fifth. Next up, we go to, at 59 points, the fourth place team, the Washington Capitals. The Capitals currently battling in a wild card position. Washington, team that won't go away. And getting Peter Laviolette helped pull the window back open because it seemed like the window was slammed shut by the time they got beat by the Islanders in 5. So now, gentlemen, Washington's had some time with Lavi, and they're still competing, but they're not competing at the level they used to. Do you think that it's because that this team is not able to? Do you think that's either aging? Do you think that it's goaltending? Because we know it's not Ovechkin slowing down. We know it's not that. So what do you think it is, gentlemen, that's making the Capitals now having to not fall from grace, but kind of have a hard time competing a little bit with these other Metro teams and kind of falling into the wild card spots?
It's been the degree of heat coming from Carolina and the New York Rangers and Pittsburgh. I mean, I know Pittsburgh has fallen off of recent, according to Klinke before, but I mean, I still see a 6-1-3 over their last 10, including an overtime win their last time out before the All-Star break. I mean, you're talking about the difference between 59 points and 65 points from Carolina, who, is right now a league setter. I mean, the guy, Colorado at 68, I get it, but and then you got Tampa Bay and Florida, the two Florida teams, above that in the point total, but Carolina's up there. I just, like you saw Washington, they were up there in the 1-2 spot for a while during the first half of the season. That's going to be a battle. Those who makes the top 3 and who gets the wild card out of the Metro.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%, Rob. I don't think necessarily this is Washington taking a step back. I think it's these other teams taking steps forward.
Yeah.
Because Washington is still playing at an elite level. They're still playing really well. Ilya Samsonov is showing that he could be a really good young goaltender in this league.
Yeah.
Are they getting a little bit older? Absolutely. But in that same breath, they still have some young guys that are still in this lineup that are still making noise. I mean, Dmitry Orlov is a little bit on the older side, still doing a great job. John Carlson's still one of the top defenders in the league. Nicky Backstrom's back and doing what he does best. So TJ Oshie's still doing his thing. Like, they're still a really good cohesive unit. I mean, they still have a plus 22 goal differential on the season. So they're doing things right. I just think everybody else is just getting better.
Well, that's what was going to happen at some point. You knew it was going to happen, where one of the top teams was going to have to start fighting for wild card spots instead of having to settle for a divisional spot. Seems like Washington's the one that drew the short straw here. On to the number 3 team at 62 points, the Pittsburgh Penguins, another team that will refuse to go away. Although the Penguins were considered at one point the hottest team in the NHL, not necessarily coming back down to earth, just the division is so tight, it put them back down into third place. They're at 62 points compared to 64 and 65. So they're only off by 2 and 3. So that's not a big difference. But Pittsburgh, very strong year they've been having. In the first half they had was really, really good. They opened up the season with a win over Tampa, and they never looked back. Do you think that this is because of the usual suspects, because of Crosby or Malkin, or do you think it's because of their depth that's been really bringing out the best in this Pittsburgh team?
First, I want to know what that wow's about.
Yes.
Carolina just pulled within a goal with about a minute left in play.
Holy shit. Carolina.
4-3 Ottawa.
Oh boy, Ottawa might just lose this
Vinny
one.
Trocheck seeing the screen and picking that corner.
Oh
trying
boy.
to give it away now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Still got time too. They still got plenty of time.
Yeah, Ottawa's got a 2-point giveaway going on right now at this point. Oh boy.
Well, go ahead, Rob. Pittsburgh.
I was talking Pittsburgh. Yeah, well, I mean, I think it's been more than Crosby and Malkin. Look at who was representing the squad in the All-Star game, and Jake Edsel. I mean, you knew, he's as good as advertised, if not more, having a fine season himself. So I think they're a deep team. I think they discovered more defensive depth when they had a very injury-laden season last year. I forget his first name, Marino.
Oh, Dan Marino. Yeah.
No, Joe Marino.
Not John Marino. Has been stellar for them on the defensive line. And then, I mean, of course, Letang leading that group. They're a team that just, they find ways to win. You know what I mean? They got a lot of hungry guys on that squad. So I'm not surprised to see where they're at right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that surprised either. Another team that's playing really well on the back end. Tristan Jarry, representing at the All-Star game as well for the Penguins.
That's right.
Has played really, really well in net. And Casey DeSmith has been a really solid backup for them. So they're figuring out ways to win. And to Rob's point, the depth of this team has just been absolutely Patrick saying these guys are dicks as well. The depth of this Pittsburgh team just goes to show you that this team, how well this team has been built and how young some of these guys were when they were finally brought up. I mean, some of the other names that aren't, Crosby's healthy again, and you can tell. Jeff Carter coming to Pittsburgh was great for them. Brian Russ is, just having a Brian Russ kind of season. Kasperi Kapanen back in Pittsburgh, I think has been really good for him. But this Pittsburgh team, they just keep, like to Rob's point, they just keep finding ways to win. And that's Mike Sullivan hockey right there, as Ottawa does hold on for the 4-3 final. Oh,
okay. There you go. And Patrick saying we should do the right thing and skip the Pens. They do not deserve a mention. Yes, fuck the Penguins. Go away. Seriously,
Robbie,
go away, Pittsburgh. No one likes you.
Robbie, turn off your camera real quick. Go to Philly Drinkers. You can get this logo on a shirt at phillydrinkers.com. It's A2D shirt. Phillydrinkers.com. Go check them out.
Absolutely. Go do that. All right.
Sorry, had to shameless plug that.
No. Bang, bang. Totally. Anthony's saying next season Malkin and some players might be gone. We'll have to see. Malkin, I mean, we've been talking about Malkin possibly leaving the Penguins for a while now, so I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Moving forward, we now go to the Rangers at 64 points, another surprise team, because while we figured they would be competitive, we didn't think they were going to be this competitive. Holy shit. They came out and said, hey, do you mind if we just make everybody hear our bitch? Is that okay with everybody? Good? Okay, cool. Thanks, guys. Don't hate on us too much. But
they're just R. Kelly and everybody right now. They're just pissing on mad fucking people. To my surprise, though, I disagree. I called this. I thought they would be competing for top spot in this division. I see the talent. I mean, Adam Fox has been, outstanding for that squad. Hayes, when you look at it, though, you got to tie it back to the way. Yeah, I know. I get it. I went there, but Igor Shesterkin, man, he's trying to get that Vezina. 210 goals against, 9.37 save percentage. Play already 28 games played this season. I mean, Georgiev's no slouch for a backup there. But the big difference, and a prelude to who my first half MVP is. I'll repeat it when we get there later in the show. But Chris Kreider. Chris Kreider has always been a tremendous leader on and off the ice that we were talking about when we were having the Drew discussion, and now leading the NHL with 30 goals. Really, taking his game to a new level on the ice. I mean, right now he's got to be the MVP. Or at least in my book for the first half. That's been the key to the Rangers' success this season.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, Adam Fox knowing when to jump up in the offensive zone, and just he knows how to create offense. Like as good as he has been on defense, and he is a former Norris Trophy winner, and he's clearly going to put his name in the hat again to be nominated for that award as well at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He knows how to create offense, and Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad, Alexis Lafreniere, another guy. Like, this team has been retooled very quickly and very good. I think a lot of these guys they already had. They brought in Jacob Trouba on the defensive side, which helps as well. Brings a very physical aspect to the team. But I think a lot of the success that this team is having, again, to Rob's point, is Ilya Shesterkin.
Yeah.
Just been a phenomenal goaltender for them all season long. I think anybody that knew of this kid before going to the Rangers knew what they were getting out of this kid. And I think the Flyers can get a lot of this out of Carter Hart.
Yeah.
Should they give him the right guys in front? And I think that's why you're getting a lot of really good play from Shesterkin, is because he has 6 good defensemen in front of him. But yeah, I mean, to see the Rangers where they are right now is just absolutely ridiculous. And hats off to the Rangers for doing that, because we figured they were going to be good. Did not think they were going to be this good.
Well, I think the Blue Jackets officially put this one out, but then again, maybe not. 42 seconds left. They just made it 5-4 after Tom Wilson had scored for the Capitals about like a minute ago to tie the game up. So it's been a very back and forth game between the Blue Jackets and the Capitals. So, and they do not have they do have Samsonov. They did not have him in the second period. Copley was in net, and I guess they either did not like what Copley was bringing to the table, but
I mean, another thing you got to highlight too in terms of an addition to the squad, we kind of made fun of it at the time a little bit, and I got to eat some crow. Bringing in Ryan Reeves to be a character, guy with grit on this team, I think was a missing piece that really balances out, the high scoring upside of, Zibanejad, Panarin, even even Barclay Goodrow, who's in double digits in goals on the squad. I just think it's just they're going to make some noise in the upcoming Stanley Cup playoffs, and I would not be surprised, even with strong teams in Carolina and Florida, and the two teams in Florida. I would not be surprised if the Rangers represented the Eastern Conference.
I wouldn't be surprised either. I mean, the depth of this team is ridiculous, and I hear there's some young names that are in trade rumors now, and 4 of them have been linked to the Flyers. You had Capo Caco. You have Filipino. You have I'm blanking on his first name, but Kratsov. I think he's a defenseman.
Oh, yeah, I know you're talking.
Yeah. And then who was the 4th one?
Keandre Miller, because that's who I would want.
No, I would want him too. I'm not going to sit here in front. I would want him too, but no, it's hang on, let me look it up.
All right then. Scarecrow, Rainbow, Heart Room, Robber Gang. Can't really answer anything on NBA, brother. This is a hockey show. I don't really follow it. Sorry, brother.
I mean, if you got a Sixers question, I might be able to answer it for you. But when it comes to the Clippers, my friend, I'm sorry, I can't help.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of other shows that would probably be able to answer that for you. But unfortunately, this happens to be the one that can't. All right. So let's see here. In the final team here on the Metro, while you look that up for the Rangers, the Carolina Hurricanes, 65 points, just 1 point ahead of the Rangers. And, I mean, Brian talked about it a couple years ago in the bubble, or actually maybe it might have been the year before that. And honestly, this team is proving that it's capable of being just that. This team might very well be the next Stanley Cup champion. They are a consistently strong team. They play a great game. They play for each other. Rod Brind'Amour has these guys just killing it out there on the ice. Now, what it could be, it could just be the fact that the team is just united in that same cause. It could be the fact that not only do they have great talent, they find a way to make that great mixture and that great balance between veteran and youth. Either way, Carolina, at the end of the day, whatever they're doing, it's working. It's working so well that maybe they will win it this year. I mean, they ran to the buzzsaw of Tampa last year, but maybe they can get through Tampa this year if they face them again. Maybe they can go to the Stanley Cup Finals and win the second one for Carolina. Seems like the sky's the limit for these guys.
Yeah, I mean, they went out and revamped the defense, which is something that they needed to do after last year, after getting pretty much just absolutely slaughtered by Tampa. They went out and felt like Alex Nedeljkovic was not the guy, so they went out and just traded him. You go out and you get Freddie Anderson in free agency as well. So that has been a pretty awesome move for them, because Freddie Anderson has really kind of found himself again. Gave Tony DeAngelo a second chance, and he's showing that he can coexist with players in the league. And, just filler spots for some of these guys. But they've been building this team for some time. And if you look at the roster of the Carolina Hurricanes are a very well young built team. I mean, Seth Jarvis is one of the younger guys, can absolutely play. Sebastian Aho is a superstar in this league. You go out and you get Vinny Trocheck. Vinny Trocheck has been a really good player for the Carolina Hurricanes. So, I mean, they're just plugging in needs where they need to. And this completely revamped defense is really helping this. I mean, their point differential right now is one of the tops in the league at plus 44. So crazy. They're doing a lot of stuff right. And like Matt said, it's really a tip of the hat to Rod Brind'Amour, because, he's this type of coach that Brendy's just going to get 100% out of his guys. And I mean, yeah, they were down 4-0 at one point tonight against the Ottawa Senators. And I get it, it's Ottawa. But you came back and you fought back in the third period, scored 3 unanswered goals in the third period to have a 1-goal loss. But it's the idea that they're resilient and they don't give up. So, to me, the Carolina Hurricanes are still the odds-on favorite for me to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I mean, with those 3 goals to make that a 4-3 contest. That differential's up to 47 now, up to dated. And I mean, the Senators, there's a lot of talent there. They're not the rollover. They're definitely they're back on their way up. So, definitely shows, that fortitude that you need, that resiliency to never give up on a game. That's what you want to see out of champions.
Yep, and you reminded me just to refresh the standings here that I'm looking at. So, did that. Let's continue.
About the Vegas.
Put the right info out there.
About the Vegas Golden Knights. Well, they're coming up right now. Actually, I got them up on ESPN Plus, so they'll be getting ready to face off with the Edmonton Oilers in just a moment. Or actually, no, they're not. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, man.
Either they're out of the first intermission, I think. Actually, sorry. But anyway, what were you gonna say, Rob?
Jack Eichel not in the lineup tonight.
So,
yeah, I mean, if it was just clear today, I doubt it. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to not see Jack Eichel for another 2 or 3 weeks.
Yep. Oh, and Columbus did close out that game, so they just beat Washington. So great for Columbus, bad for Washington. But yeah, so with that, gentlemen, is there any other things you want to say about the Metropolitan Division overall from the first half of this regular season? Anything that we might have missed?
The only thing I can say is this Metro Division is not exactly looking the way I thought it was going to.
That's true, because if the playoffs did start today, you'd have Carolina, New York, and Pittsburgh in the divisional spots. So it's a little different. All right. To the Atlantic Division, ladies and gentlemen. And in the bottom is Montreal, the only team in the league currently without double-digit wins. 8-29-7 is their record with 23 points. Whew, everything that could possibly go wrong for the Habs has gone wrong for the Habs. And yeah, I mean they lost a lot of leadership in the offseason. Carey Price choosing to not continue because he wanted to go take care of some substance issues that he had. You lose Shea Weber, possibly forever. Montreal took a beating in the offseason, and unfortunately the season has kind of reflected that a little bit. And
including losing the Devils 7-1 tonight, so make that the 30th loss on the season. Ouch.
Yeah, not a good year for a Habs fan. However, though, they're definitely the front runner for Shane Wright. So there you go. At this point in time.
Hey, you never know. It could go to a bullshit like how the Rangers got the first pick. But that's a topic. Well, I guess we covered that with LePerriere. But anyway.
Oh, let's see here. All right, so moving on from the Habs, we go to another Canadian team sitting down at the bottom, and that is the Ottawa Senators, who almost gave up their 16th win in the season, but they were able to hold on and get it.
I got Buffalo in 7th, not Ottawa.
Really? Oh, you know what? They probably just updated because they got that 16th win. So it's Buffalo now. That's right. That's what it was. Yeah.
They're at 36 and 35, so yeah, stays past them real quick.
Yeah, so all right, so Buffalo. So Buffalo now sitting down there currently at 35 points. Yeah, I mean, we kind of expected Buffalo to be down here because, they traded pretty much everything off, and it was the first year without Jack Eichel. I mean, it's the start of a new era for them, and the ending of an era where they really, really, really embarrassed themselves. So I don't know what to say, except maybe this time they'll figure out how to rebuild the team properly. That's the best thing I could say.
I mean, despite the record, they have been playing better. If you watch Buffalo Sabre games, and they're getting a very assertive effort out of Jeff Skinner. That's been a very talented player that hasn't produced up to date, but has been having a decent season this year.
Yeah, I mean, another guy you could bring up too, Robbie, is Alex Tuch. Obviously coming over from Vegas in the deal for Jack Eichel. He's a Buffalo native, so he's back home. You're getting some good stuff out of him, but I mean, again, Tage Thompson's been another low-key bright spot for this team, the 7-footer, playing center for the Buffalo Sabres. Outside of that, you really look down up and down this lineup. You don't really see a lot that's like, oh my God, like he's going to be good. He's going to be good. He's going to be good. Casey Middlestat was expected to be a second-line center. He's meh. Outside of Rasmus Dahlin, meh. I mean, Owen Power is not going to be in the Sabres uniform for at least another year or two. I mean, the goaltending in Buffalo too is not very good. But I mean, to Rob's point, they are playing better games as of late. They can't pull out wins. They have no closing. They can't seem to just finish games out. I can see I've seen them take leads and lose leads like that. So like I've been saying the last couple of years, I don't know what it is about this Buffalo team. They just don't know how to put anything together.
Yeah, it's been a rough go of it, but you know, when you hit rock bottom, you can only go up, right? I think. Well, either way.
Further the comparisons to the Flyers. Are you there, Maddie?
Yeah, pretty much. On to number 6, just recently getting number 6 because they held on to that 16th win, and that is the Ottawa Senators. So correctly now, we are at the Ottawa Senators. And I think Benny said earlier that the Truckers reminded Ottawa how to win because they reminded them of what a goal horn sounds like. And the Senators getting the win there brings them up to 36 points, 16, 22, and 4. Ottawa, you know, I'm wondering when this team is going to start making that leap, you know, because they're putting it together, it seems like, but it doesn't seem like that it's put together enough yet. There's still a few things that's missing from this. And then once they get that going, then this team should kind of be a little bit like the Red Wings where they become pesty and they become a little bit more dangerous for wild card teams. But for now, they still are missing a few things before they can officially say that they're back, basically.
I mean, I'm going to be honest with you. I love this Ottawa team. This Ottawa team is extremely talented. There's a potential superstars up and down this roster. Blatherson is probably one of my favorite players. Artem Zub on the defensive side. Connor Brown, real good. Obviously, we don't really need to talk too much about Brady Tkachuk because that says a lot in itself. Tim Stutzel, another really good young player for this team. On the defensive side, like I was saying before, you know, you have Artem Zub, Victor Mete, Nikita Zaitsev, Thomas Shabbat's their number one guy, Eric Brandstrom. A lot of talent on this roster. It's just a matter of putting it together. And I think if they can get some good goaltending, this Ottawa team is a playoff team in the next year.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're getting the downside of Matt Murray's career. I mean, not bad stats. Still a 2.72 goals against, a 9.14 save percentage, but not close to what, you know, early Pittsburgh years, or at least for the money that they're paying them. The a surprise for me has been a player that I wasn't familiar with, and he has 18 goals at the halfway point, Josh Norris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Josh Norris, another guy who's really stepping up. I don't know a ton about him either, but clearly a guy who's knows how to put the puck in the back of the net.
Yeah.
Yeah, this Ottawa team, man, you know, like they get what they need to get. You know, they could be, like I said, like the Red Wings, you know, they could be a team that could be kind of scary for some wild card teams and actually be a little competitive here. So it's coming. It's coming. We know they're on their way.
And don't forget, they still have Jake Sanderson in the wake, too.
That's true. So, yeah, lots of things looking up for Ottawa right now. All right, on to number 5 we go to, and that is the Detroit Red Wings. I know Don Don's been waiting to hear that. So the Red Wings at 46 points. For the first time this year, the Red Wings, they finally are looking like they're supposed to. They've been building towards something for a while. This is their first season that we're starting to really see it come together. Will it be enough to get them into the playoffs this year? Maybe not. Maybe not. But then again, we still got a whole second half of hockey to play, so who knows? But if they don't even make the playoffs this year, though, it's not the end of the world for them. If they are competitive and they miss it by maybe 1-2 points, that's really good because that means, like, holy shit, all they got to do, maybe make a tiny tweak or two, and next thing you know, they're either in a wild card spot or they're third place in the division. So again, Detroit's got a chance here to make something happen bigger next season than what they're doing now, even if they don't make it. So first time, though, that we're seeing it for them. So see what we got as this moves along.
Yeah, well, we'll get a front row seat tomorrow night. This is a young team, and in the end, they're putting up some nice numbers this year. Lucas Raymond is a favorite in the Calder Trophy race. His teammate Moritz Snyder too, having a fine. He's a nice playmaker, good assist totals, good for 25 on the season. All the way up and down the lineup. Like guys that are putting up, like, it's a very balanced team all the way down to play character guys like Robbie Fabry. P.S. Suter. This is a team. They're getting solid goaltending. Not great. It had a nice run for Nedeljkovic. Has been struggling. I think a little bit of recent. Maybe Don, you can clarify that for us. But overall on the year, 290 goals against and a 211 save percentage. Making a lot of saves and high danger chances, like I covered last show. So they were threatening for a playoff spot, and I think ultimately. As the Bruins start getting their act back together, it might be the best team on the outside looking in, but I wouldn't be surprised if they make a push.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this roster. This roster is not terrible. You got some nice role players in place for this team. Giovanni Smith, nice role player. Carter Rowney, who doesn't play just about every week, but he'll play once in a while. And when he does, he makes an impact. Lucas Raymond, obviously you brought up. Philip Zadina, when he's healthy. The one thing we got to remember here is this team isn't even fully back yet. And you got two main guys that are getting ready to come back that will help this team take that next step forward. And that's Jacob Vrana and Philip Zadina. So once they come back as well, that's really going to make this team a little bit better. Troy Stecker as well is another one who's getting ready to come back. But, you look at guys like Pui Sutter. He was a guy that I wanted Anaheim to go get because, no, he's not a guy that's going to light the lamp every night, but he's a really good middle six player, lean more towards the third line with him. But he's a guy that knows how to create some offense, and he's still relatively young. He's only 24 years old. But he's done a lot of good things for this Detroit Red Wing team. And then you still have Dylan Larkin, obviously, who's a menace to most teams. And the speed of Dylan Larkin. I mean, they played the Ducks. It was the last night before the All-Star break. Dylan Larkin, if you can get to the outside and if he catches your defenseman flat-footed, he's probably going to score a goal there. But I love Dylan Larkin. I do love where this team is headed. And I also want to thank the Detroit Red Wings for letting Anaheim talk to Pat Verbeek, who is now their new GM. So thank you for that.
Yeah, it's a great hire. It's a great hire. Yeah, I've had Dylan Larkin on the dynasty team since they drafted him. Like, it's great. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. I've had success over the years, but really coming to fruition this season.
Yeah, I mean, another thing we're overlooking a little bit too is the goaltending they're getting out in Detroit too. They have a pretty good duo right there between Alex Nedeljkovic and Calvin Pickard. So just something to not really overlook there. I mean, maybe special teams can be a little bit better for the Red Wings, but this is a team that is not far off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the way this Red Wing team is trending, and I just want to say what's up to Garner. I see him in the chat.
Yeah,
saying for Dougie P.
Yeah, root for Dougie P. Talking about how he, unfortunately, living south of Tampa, he never gets to see the Flyers. And that he used to live in Delco.
I mean, I'd rather live 40 miles south of Tampa than live in Delco, to be honest with
you. And Ted saying move Detroit, Columbus back to the west and move Seattle to the east. Boy, that'd be an interesting.
What conference. World does that make sense? Western Conference, Eastern Conference. Come on, Ted.
In the world that makes it easier in the Eastern Conference, that's what it is.
Seattle will never get more than 40 points in a season that way. All that travel miles, but on.
Yeah. Yep, Scarecrow. Yeah, we're doing the Atlantic Division right now for the NHL. So yeah, Detroit right now. Shout out to Calvin Pickard too, by the way, former Flyer. Good to see he landed on his feet after that whatever the fuck kind of season that was from the Flyers when he was playing for us. But
was that the year they had the 75 goalies starting?
Yeah, it was one of those years. Yep. Anthony's saying bring back the Seattle Supersonics. But let's see here. We've got the Bruins next, 55 points. The Bruins, not as solidified in a divisional spot as they have been in the past, and they got bumped down to the wild card races. They've been keeping up well, though. They haven't been really slipping, and they've got 55 points on the season. They're still pretty much on the outside looking in of the top 3 Atlantic Division teams, but good chance they could still make it in the wild card race as long as they beat out one of the Metro teams. Do you think that Boston is sort of... Do you think that window's about closed, or do you think that because I'm thinking it's starting to it's barely even cracked right now for Boston at this point? I don't know.
I mean, let's be real. The Boston Bruins are never going to be out of it as long as their GM keeps doing what he's doing, and they do have a bit of a rotating door. I mean, Patrice Bergeron still playing at a high level. Brad Marchand still an elite level talent. Pasternak is, he does what he does. Are they suffering a little bit on the defensive side? I think so. They do have some good players on that side, but I think that's where they're suffering a bit. Goaltending as well, I don't think has been as good. I don't think Tuukka Rask has been the player that he was last year, and I get that he's missed pretty much most of the first half of the season, and he's trying to get back into that NHL level. But Swayman has been okay, not great, but okay. If they can shore up and make a move for, I'd say, a defenseman, I think they could be okay to make some noise in the playoffs. But I don't think this team's window is closed yet. But I think it is. I think the age of this team is starting to show itself a little bit, and Charlie McAvoy, I understand is starting to he's starting to show some displeasure with the Boston Bruins. So I mean, we'll see what happens with that. But again, purely speculation.
Yeah, that's true, but it'll be interesting to see what Boston does. I know that they, last year they were in real good position in the division, and they eventually got out of the first round. Washington tripped over themselves, but then they got shut down by the Islanders. It'll be interesting. They make the wild card. They're still going to be a frustrating team, and no matter who they draw, it doesn't matter whether they face Florida or Carolina, it'll still be real tough to eliminate them all the same.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, this Boston team is still tough. Still one of the best power plays in the NHL. A lot of that has to do with that first line, but I mean, to me, the depth isn't there that it once was.
Yeah.
Good players though, but nobody that really wows you outside of that perfection line.
Yeah, and you know that they're dependent upon it, and that's why they brought Taylor Hall there. They were hoping that would get the secondary scoring going, which it did at first, but it's dried up now again, and same thing happened that they were afraid would happen again. But yeah, so Boston currently right now sitting in the 4th spot. They are still in a wild card position at 55 points. We'll see if they can hold on to that in the second half of the season and keep up the winning that they've been doing. And let's see.
Speaking of winning,
yeah,
this next team we're about to talk about is on a 6-game winning streak.
Yep, that is true. That's the Toronto Maple Leafs. By the way, Gardner Minshew says he lives in Manatee County with beaches, cattle, and oranges, and we could come visit one of their many Walmarts. And he does say the Flyers always make late season runs. Obviously, probably referring to the poll question that we got, which he's not wrong. Flyers have been known for late season runs. Scarecrow, and Scarecrow, we are about to talk about the Maple Leafs. So get yourself ready. So here we go. 63 points on the board. The Toronto Maple Leafs are 3rd place in the Atlantic Division and 30-10-3. Ironically, they have a duplicate record of what Tampa has, but because of the 3 OTLs and a few less games played, that's why they're sitting behind Tampa right now. Nonetheless, the Maple Leafs are here. Have they been perfect this year? No, but they picked it up and they've been killing it since. And seems like Toronto, the biggest problem with them is they get hot and cold. That's their biggest issue. They go streaking a little bit, and they gotta calm that down because it's killing them in the long run. Don't get me wrong; they're doing great in the first half. Can't keep, second half if you can have a strong one, but if you start getting cold going into the playoffs, you're going to get eliminated in the first round again. And I don't think you want to deal with that for the 4 millionth time. But Don. Gentlemen, Vegas just scored, by the way. It's 3-0 now. But, I will say, do you think Toronto, you think this year that they got a chance to finally, just get out of whatever the fuck kind of playoff funk that they've been in over the last few seasons? Or do you think that they're still going to have the same issues that they've been running into?
Robbie, go ahead.
I'm kind of torn on that question, Matty, because what I wanted to highlight for Toronto is their outstanding play between the pipes and Jack Campbell. I mean, he's having a dynamite season, 230 goals against, 925 save percentage, 4 shutouts on the season and 31 games played. But this roster, they didn't make any really big moves. Right, it's pretty much status quo to last year, and what we realized and what we talked about last year is that this is a team that's built exquisitely for the regular season, not well for the postseason. It's a different brand of hockey, and I don't see how it could be different. Can it happen at any point when you have we already highlighted Austin Matthews and Tavares, but I mean William Nylander, Mitch Marner behind these guys, Morgan Riley. I mean, Alex Carefoot. This is a talented squad. Andre Casse, I think ultimately I wouldn't be surprised if they could get off the schneid, but I don't think it's going to happen because they're just not comprised to be a playoff contender.
I mean, to Gardner's point, the fan base is he says scum at Canada, but I think they're just flat out frauds. Most of them lose a couple games and they start throwing jerseys on the ice. Are you fucking kidding me?
That was fucking hilarious. They lost to the Sharks, and I saw it happen live. It was fucking hilarious.
I do think this Toronto Maple Leafs team does break it this year. I think they're doing one thing a little bit better this year than they've done in the past, and they're playing better defense overall, and a lot of that is stemming from Jack Campbell as well, who's having a tremendous all-star year. Really stepping up in the absence of Freddie Anderson, who did leave Toronto for Carolina, but they also did bring in Peter Mrazek. So Peter Mrazek is still putting Oh, that's gross.
What's the reason why I'm laughing is that it's funny. I just watched an old episode of Tacoma FD where they were oiling it down each other with coconut oil, like Gabe, and I'm picturing that with the maple syrup. Oh, I put a little too much. I put a little too much down your pants. Oh, I wrote that in.
That's what Mitch Marner said to Austin Matthews. But anyway. So that explains it. That explains a lot. All right.
So I'm going to get back to my point and try and get this image out of my head.
Sure.
Bringing in Peter Mrazek. What's up, Bryce?
Hey, Bryce.
As a backup to
Congratulations, Bryce.
Jack Campbell. Yeah, congrats. I'm not sure what I'm congratulating you on, but positive vibes your way, right?
I believe you just got married. I think I saw it in our chat on Twitter.
Oh, if that's the case, absolutely congratulations, Bryce, my man.
Yes, congratulations to you, my man. Hopefully, eternal bliss for you guys.
But yeah, I mean, this Toronto team is playing much better defense than they were the year before. They're really starting to shut teams down a little bit more than they were last year. And like I said, you do got to give Jack Campbell his due credit there because he has been pretty awesome since coming over from, I believe, I want to say he came from the LA Kings in a minor trade that actually wound up being just absolutely major for the Maple Leafs. But yeah, I think they absolutely 1,000% they break the first round drought and they make their way in the second. I do think though, if they do get past the first round, I do think they can absolutely make a run for the Stanley Cup final. I think it could wind up being them and Carolina in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, if they do that, then all I could say is that Canada's probably going to go through a maple syrup shortage. It's the best. That's probably what's going to happen.
That's so gross.
All right. On to the next one, and that is someone that we are absolutely not surprised is sitting in one of the top three spots in the number 2, and that is the Tampa Bay Lightning. 66 points, 30, 10, and 6 is their record. Tampa pretty much, what can you say except they're the Lightning? And even though they did take some tough losses in the offseason, their third line was stripped clean from them in the offseason. They have been resilient through that, and they've been managing to use their depth to their advantage. And Andre Vasilevsky still doing what he does. That's a sticky situation. Well done. Well done. Situation. Yeah. Well done. Well done. But yeah, so Tampa at the end of the day, they're still doing what they do. So, gentlemen, after a strong first half, you guys think that this team might be able to do the unthinkable and actually three-peat?
I think they could. Do I think they do? No. I do like this team. Do I think they took a step back? Yeah, I think they took a little bit of a step back. But as long as you have Andre Vasilevsky, you're always going to have a shot. He is the best goaltender in the league. They really do have the best defense in the league. I mean, they have what, like 3 defensive captains on that team? 4 defensive captains on the team if they go anywhere else. I really thought that this team was going to take a step back, a major step back, losing some of the guys they lost to the expansion draft and free agency and all that. We went out and got Pierre-Edouard Bellemare, who's been great for them. Corey Perry's been a guy that, he's really revamped his career since, honestly, leaving Anaheim. Played well for the Stars for, almost 2 years. He's pretty good in Montreal, and he's proving to be pretty clutch in certain situations for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So, I mean, yeah, they may have lost some players, but they've gained in a lot of ways too. I mean, this team is still extremely dangerous, and they will make a lot of noise. But like I said, as long as they have Andre Vasilevsky, this team is always going to be able to compete.
All right.
Chris, stop it with that nonsense. You still half asleep typing that Kings versus Panthers?
Panthers.
No, it's going to be Anaheim.
Anaheim Panthers.
Yeah. It's gonna be that.
That'll be.
I think he's.
At least for
No,
the cup.
Go ahead, Rob.
I think he's referring to this next team that we're about to get into, the Florida Panthers, and I agree with them. I said that there's a likely chance that the Rangers could be representing the East, who I officially think will represent the East. So Florida Panthers, 194 goals they've scored already, almost 200 goals in a half. Let's see how many games played they have. They have 47 games played, so a little bit on the high end. I think I've seen one or two teams have 48 games played, but most have been under that, especially more teams that had gone through some COVID postponements. But I mean, just to give you an idea, boys, Colorado, who's an offensive juggernaut, is second best in NHL in goals scored at 183, 11 less. Pretty close. The next team after that is Minnesota at 161. That's just the goal and prowess that the Florida Panthers have had, to excuse the pun.
So,
I mean, this Florida Panthers team, man, is something special. In all honesty, I just
and they're currently
one thing I think they really do need for real though is to really shore up that defense. We know the offense is there. We know the goaltending is there. Bobrovsky and Spencer Knight both having good years. I think if they can go out and shore up another top 6, maybe top 4 D-man, I could absolutely see Florida being another team that could contend in the East for a Stanley Cup. I think they can contend now, but this team is just – the offense is so deep, and it's just – this Florida Panthers team, I don't think anybody expected them to be this good.
I haven't seen rumors to this effect, but what would be a good trade acquisition for them would be Justin Braun from the Flyers.
Yeah, I think that could be a really good one.
That could be. Pretty much everybody's saying, Anthony's saying he likes watching the Panthers, and Jesse's saying that Panthers are good. And right now they are currently leading for the race for the President's Trophy. If there's one thing that I will say they better not do is win that. You win the President's Trophy, boys, you're out in the first round again. Just saying. Don't win the President's Trophy. You can win your division. You can do whatever you want. Have fun. Go crazy if you want to. Do not win the President's Trophy. Stay away from it. She has herpes. You don't want it. Moving on.
Ew.
Just saying. Gift that keeps on giving, and it gives throughout the entire playoffs and then the offseason when you watch the other team win the cup that you probably should have won.
Yeah, it's awkward.
All right. So that'll do it for the Eastern Conference. And right now, Atlantic Division, top 3 teams, Florida, Tampa, and Toronto. Those are your top teams in the Atlantic Division. So interesting so far through this year on the first half for the Eastern Conference. And that will do it for our second period. So our second period sponsor for today is All Campus OC. If you guys are ever, in the Jersey area and you want to head on down to the shore, you want to head down to Ocean City because that's where you could find All Campus OC. John Coyle runs that, and he also has the ramp booth, so you want to check that out as well. And they have everything that's 20% off for subscribers, including hats, shirts, and their team cornhole sets. You can wear your team colors of pride. All Campus OC. That's where you want to go to get your team colors. So, with that, we move on from the Eastern Conference, and now it is time for us to hit up the Western Conference, unless there is anything else you guys want to cover in the Eastern Conference before we change gears out to the West Coast.
Yet.
Yeah.
Let's get this show rolling, Maddie. Come on.
All right. So, on to the Western Conference. We go to the Central Division, starting out 26 points, the Arizona Coyotes. I don't even really think we need to talk about that. We've been talking about them ad nauseum, how they're going to be playing in front of 5,000 people next season. Not a great look for the Coyotes right now. Next up, the Chicago Blackhawks. They're sitting at 39 points. Blackhawks are kind of, they're in transition, really. They're kind of changing over from the Patrick Kane Taves era. They got to start something new. They got to get a fresh identity, which it's going to be tough for them to find. But you know what? You got to do it. It's what happens when you have all those years of success. You pay for them in the end. Moving on. Go to the Winnipeg Jets, 43 points currently for them. I feel bad for Winnipeg because this was a team that a lot of people thought was going to eventually win a cup and end the Canadian Cup drought, and now they've fallen off a little bit. It's a shame, really, because they've been having some problems. They've really been having some problems with this team. And moving on, we go to the 48 points, Dallas Stars. The Stars. That's not a good identity to have, unfortunately. Not a good identity at all there, Don. Do you think it's weird that the Blackhawks fans cheer during the national anthem? I do. Yeah, I think it's weird. You're supposed to be silent, but that's just how I look at that. But
the hell are some of these comments about?
Oh, there's another case that came out about the Blackhawks and sexual harassment. So the Blackhawks organization is just proving to be just an awful organization all around, once again.
I know there's a situation where they had a town hall meeting it's probably like 2 weeks ago now, where the reporters were asking what steps are the Blackhawks going to take from moving forward. And I know I want to say he was the CEO or retiring CEO just kind of went off on some of the reporters. I didn't hear anything else.
Yeah, it's just not a good time for the Blackhawks or to be a Blackhawks fan right now. Not only because of what's happening off the ice, but what's happening on the ice too. But on to the fifth place team in the Central. That is the Dallas Stars. They're at 48 points. Dallas isn't far out of a wild card spot. And the thing is, Dallas, though, they're a team that likes to go streaking. And that could kill them in the end because it killed them last year. So that's a team that really needs to lock it the fuck down and start playing a little bit better in terms of consistency. Because it's, while they've been okay, they've not been able to stay too consistent in the end, and that's what's killing them.
I think they need a lot of help offensively, honestly. Sagan not being able to stay healthy. I don't think Jamie Benn has been the player that he once was. There's still some good players in Dallas, and I don't think they're going to be a team that goes away anytime soon, especially on the defensive side, and the goaltending is going to be really good for years to come. They just need to figure out ways to put the puck in the net. I think that's their biggest issue.
Yeah, it's been a very strange for them. I mean, you would think they wouldn't have a problem with it, but they do. Let's see here. Next up, number 4, the St. Louis Blues, 57 points that they're at. And talk about a team that, they're fighting through everything, I mean, last year they got swept, and we thought, okay, that's it. Blues are dead. And now they're back, and they're not going anywhere. They're still fighting. They're still scratching and clawing their way through it all. I mean, this feisty Blues team, maybe they are able to hold on to a wild card spot and make themselves to the playoffs, or maybe they get third place in the division because they're only 2 points away from the Minnesota Wild currently.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jordan Binnington's had an up and down season. He has 3.27 goals against, 901 save percentage, and he could be quickly looking, for new employment because backup Ville Husso, 190 goals against and a 941 save percentage. Now, mind you, that's in 14 game starts, but he's played very well for the St. Louis Blues and could take the reins come playoff time.
Yeah, and this is also a team that knows how to put the puck in the net as well. Another team that's really deep on the offensive side. Braden Shen really stepping up and becoming going into St. Louis out of Philadelphia, really more known for his power play speciality. really turning into a really good 5-on-5 score and even strength score. And obviously, you still have Tarasenko and there's a ton of talent out there. Jordan Kyrou is another really good young player out there. This team is it's really putting it together. There's another team that's in a really tough division. They are 3 points out of second, so they're still within striking distance of getting a division spot. Again, they're going up against some tough teams right now. That's their biggest issue. Similar to Washington, not a team that's really taking any steps back. Just the teams around them are just better.
Got a lot of hate for Chicago in the chat right now. The fam does not love the city of Chicago.
Are they going to have to burn this one down and make the third city? Sorry, Chris.
Oh my god!
I mean, Garner's not wrong. Back in the 20s, that place was stupid violent.
Yeah, that's true, and it is still stupid violence. The murder capital of the United States.
Hey, look who's finally joining us this week. I guess you don't have any soccer to watch.
Yeah,
no pre-qualifiers or whatever the hell you were watching last week over us.
The U.S. men did qualify, by the way. They beat Honduras to do it, so they're going.
USA.
Dan's here just in time. We're going up the Central rankings, and we'll be going to the Pacific pretty soon, starting off 20 of your teams there. You know.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. We'll be getting to them real soon.
Vancouver, because they're sitting at the bottom.
Well, at least we'll cover them. Give them some love.
Almost.
Yeah. All right, so on to the number 3 spot, gentlemen, and that is at 59 points, the Minnesota Wild. This would be a surprise if this was 2 years ago, but this is not really a surprise because we saw something from them last year, and this year they're proving that last year was no fluke, that they legitimately have a team that's worth watching and a team that may very well be on the road to having sustained, consistent success in the playoff berths in the future. And Kyrell, obviously, in my opinion, I think it's their first true, real superstar. Right now, they're doing what they got to do. I mean, they're staying 2 points ahead of the St. Louis Blues. They're 1 point away from Nashville in the second spot in the Central. Gentlemen, I'll say this right now. I think Minnesota will be a team that will surprise people in the playoffs. I think they'll actually go on a bit of a run and stun a few people.
Yeah, I agree.
Go ahead, Robbie. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you guys. Go ahead. That's it?
I agree. Time is getting late, boys. You got to keep this succinct.
Yeah, no, that's true. It's true. Again, a long day for me. But yeah, Minnesota is getting a lot of depth scoring. They're getting some good goaltending out there as well. Defense has been. I thought they've always had a solid defense, but they're getting a lot of depth scoring, especially from a guy who shouldn't have probably been let go from the Flyers, and Ryan Hartman having a great season for Minnesota. Don't know how he didn't get into the All-Star game, but some guys got to get snubbed. But I mean, this team is just rolling on all cylinders right now. And again, another situation where if they're in another division, they're probably sitting in first place.
Yeah, probably. Unfortunately, they're in the Central.
I think this is the second round team. I'll be honest with you. I think this is a team that figures out a way to get out of the first round, but they get ousted in the second round because they're going to have to face somebody that's unfortunately better than them.
Yeah. Well, hey, they're on the right track though. Strong first half. See if they can keep it up in the second. Ooh. Well, actually, no, that's good for Dan because Dan's Canadian. So yeah, the Canadian ladies beat the shit out of the U.S. Well, didn't beat the shit, but beat them in 2 penalty shots. But but still.
I haven't watched the Olympics. To me, it's lost its luster. It's not what it once was.
No, not the women's. Watching the women's tournament, I so want to pull reverse ladybugs and get Alex Carpenter on the Philadelphia Flyers like ASAP. but no. What I'll say is that that game was for seeding. We'll see the real one that counts because ultimately, barring any upsets, they will be in the gold medal game again against each other. And the last time, I believe Canada won in the preliminary round to get the number 1 seed. How'd that work out?
Oh my God, Gar. Well said. That's funny as shit, by the way.
It was a fabulous. I mean, probably, it's all kidding aside, though. Dan, I mean, a tremendous game last night. You know what I mean? I honestly think the Canadian ladies will take it this year. I just in terms of how they keep everything out to the perimeter. They had to have had double digits of block shots last night, and it wasn't like these were poor shots being laid out there. I mean, U.S. was playing a pretty strong game. They're just really tough defensively, and obviously have good proven goal scorers. It's been entertaining hockey, Brian. You should watch some of it. You really should.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I love that kind of like tournament and all that. Like, I love the like World Juniors but it's just the Olympics. I can't get behind it anymore. Like, I'm trying to sit here and watch a snowboard. Like, I love snowboarding. I'll watch the X Games. Like, this isn't really doing much for me.
Really? You're not rooting for Shaun White to win a gold medal?
Well, this isn't a half pipe. This is actually like racing.
Oh,
gotcha. It's a parallel, right? Yeah.
Yeah. It's just,
I'm hoping I didn't miss Chloe Kim. If not, I'm gonna have to rewind DVR when we get off here.
Yeah, I literally.
That's what I'm rooting for. Shaun White's been. I mean, it would be nice. I mean, he announces this is going to be his last Olympics, so But I don't know. I'm not too into the feel good stories.
I don't know.
I like the athletes coming out of nowhere and surprise.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm rooting for Shaun White because he's a ginger and being a fellow ginger. It's like, good. Keep winning gold medals and keep proving that, gingers are superior. But anyway, moving on.
you soul suckers stick together, don't you?
Moving on. Next up, sitting at number 2, 60 points, the Nashville Predators, 28-14-4. That's a surprise, I'll be honest with you, because, yes, Nashville last year made the playoffs. They made the playoffs because Dallas fucked themselves out of the playoffs. So you would think this team would probably not be competitive this year. First half says otherwise. Nashville's at second place, and right now, they might actually make some noise if they keep this up.
I mean, plus, didn't it was the reconfigured divisions, and wasn't the Central Division one of the weaker pairings too to make the playoffs?
Yeah, true. You're right. Yeah, that's true.
I say that, Matty, because this was my biggest surprise team in the first half with the Preds. I mean, sitting at 60 points, as you said, second in the Central, and you thought, I mean, don't get me wrong. Saros has been a solid goaltender, working in tandem with aging Pekka Rinne. But, talk about carrying the torch after Pekka retired. He's having a Vezina. He may win the Vezina. I think he's my Vezina at the midpoint. I'll put it to you that way. Like, that's how good of a season he's having. So I think a lot of the credit is due right there.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at the way this team is still built, they still have a lot of talent all up and down this roster. You still have Philip Forsberg, Matthew Shane's having a good year. Ryan Johansson's been really good in the depth position on the defensive side. You still have Roman Josi. You still have Matthias Ekholm. This team is still loaded for the most part, and they brought in some younger guys too that are really making noise on this roster too. So for me to be surprised at where they are right now, I'm not totally surprised. To be 60 points at the midway point, yeah, maybe a little bit more than I thought. But like you said, Rob, UC Saros is really taking this torch for the Nashville Predators and ran with it. I mean, the one thing I will say is this organization and goaltending is just stupid. It's just stupid. It's not fair.
Yeah. It has been a very strong showing for the Nashville Predators so far. And if they can keep it up in the second half, who knows? Maybe they might be able to squeeze out a surprise run here after we thought their glory days had come to a close. Turns out, no, we were wrong. Anyway, on to the number one team in the Central Division by a pretty decent margin at 68 points, 68 and 60. That's the difference. And it is the Colorado Avalanche and 32, 8 and 4. That is, goddamn, that's one hell of a record right there, boys. Whew. The Avs are they're making a statement right now. I don't think they liked being eliminated in the second round last year. They were pretty pissed off about it, and they're taking it out on everybody else at this point.
especially in their home building. I mean, they 18-game home winning streak. I believe that was fifth highest overall on the season. 22-2 at home.
Jesus, god damn. And they're going to have home ice no matter what they do probably this year. So, yeah, I wouldn't want to face them in the playoffs. I wouldn't want to face them. Oh, boy.
They got some
oh,
solid
boy.
goaltending right now, too. So you can't you can't put that past them as well. They're getting solid goaltending out of Francois and I believe Darcy Kumpers over there now. And, we already knew what this team was. Nazem Kadri's having a tremendous season. We know Kel McCarr is just another day at work. Nathan McKinnon is just another day at work. Mika Rantanen is just another day at work. So we know what this team has already been, and they didn't really go out and make any big splashes. They knew what they have, and they plugged a couple holes, and here they are. They had a little bit of a slow start, but they're rolling now. 9-0-1 in their last 10. Come on now.
Yeah, they are. I mean, they are definitely have to be favorites for the Cup right now, but we'll see if they can keep that up as they continue forward in the second half. I mean, I don't have any doubt that they will. Just saying that for argument's sake. Anyway, moving on, we now go to the Pacific Division. To sum it up, the top three spots currently: Colorado, Nashville, Minnesota for the Central. So now in the Pacific Division, start off last place, 34 points, the Seattle Kraken. They're an expansion team. They did what most expansion teams do and struggle right out of the gate. And they've had some pretty cool games, but for the most part, they've been an expansion team. 34 points is pretty straightforward there. But
I have seen Grubauer, correct?
Yes.
The high price tag that they traded for. He's been starting to get his game back together for the first time in Seattle, which is good to see. You know what I mean? Definitely getting them a few wins here and there.
Yeah, that's true. And maybe they can rebound, use that as sort of like a tipping off point. Maybe they have a stronger second half, show that maybe there's a little something here with this team, and make the according adjustments moving forward and see where they want to go with it.
They're not having a terrible inaugural season, though. I mean, if you think about it, put them in context to the season that Montreal's having. They have 7 more wins. But, compare them to the Philadelphia Flyers, where they basically have, 4 less points right now. So, I'm not comparing them to the cream of the crop, but I don't think they're sniffing the bottom of the barrel either.
Yeah, I definitely say I would definitely agree. They're not the worst team out of the last place teams. It's just, unfortunately they're in a division that has been pretty heavily competitive this year in the Pacific. And Dan says fuck Seattle, and Anthony says the Seattle Riots. Not a lot of love for Seattle either here in the fan.
Yeah, but you also got to think this team is built for down the road, not right now. And
yeah,
I kind of feel like it's unfortunate considering what happened in Vegas, but this team does have a fan base. They do have a following already. How serious they are, we'll find out in the next year or two, but I could see Seattle being a team where some free agents are going to want to go.
Yeah. To your point, Brian, they didn't build they built very basically not to win now, and putting up 15 wins. I think that's more wins than I would have projected at the midway point based on the way they drafted.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. I'm just saying, it's just kind of one of those situations where it's, you have that one exception to the rule, and then you kind of think like, oh, well, maybe this could become a trend. And that trend doesn't necessarily happen like you think it's going to. And then you're kind of like, well, all right. Well, with the way the season's starting, maybe I could be wrong. But I mean, like you said, like with them having 15 wins right now, it's still less than I thought they would have. But I mean, I didn't really expect them to have much more at this point.
True.
All right, so now we go on to what Dan believes is the best team in the division. The Vancouver Canucks, sitting at 7th place in the Pacific Division, 46 points. They are at 500 with a 20-20-6 record. And, Vancouver did do a lot of changes in the offseason. They were trying to shore up their defense, for one thing. They were trying to get a little bit more veteran leadership on the team, and ultimately it has bared, I guess, mixed results would be the best way to call it, since they're at 500. What do you think would be the thing that's kind of hurting Vancouver right now?
I mean, you got to think you wanted a little bit more out of Brock Besser. You know what I mean? Sitting at 12 goals, 24 points, and 40 games played. You know, had some missing time there. But, I mean, it's been just a mediocre season. You know, like, you know, JT Miller has been a standout for them, former Ranger. But when that's your team leader in points, you know, Bo Horvat's been on the milk carton a little bit. You know, this is a team that I think just regressed a little bit. I don't think that plan came to fruition, Maddie.
I don't think so either. And Dan does point out something that did happen, and that was a complete management overhaul. You know, they did get rid of Jim Benning and his regime.
Right.
So, you know,
so you got to expect a little bit of fallback there. You're right, Dan. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's more issues to this team than I think we are leading on to. Letting go of Jim Benning is probably one of the better things they could have done. We'll see what the new GM does. I'm blanking on his name. It's something Alvin. I know that. So we'll see what he does with rebuilding this team. This is a very talented roster that the Vancouver Canucks have. Arthur Demko has been doing everything that he can in net. I mean, maybe you can shore up the defense a little bit more. But if we're looking offensively, Bo Horvat has been solid but not great. Elias Pettersson has been solid but not great. They went on this little tear when Bruce Boudreau took over, but now they seem to have gone stale again. So this Vancouver Canucks team is very bipolar. It's probably the best way to describe them because they're very hot and cold. And lately they've been very, very cold. If they can figure out a way to shore up the defense, shore up the defense and get some of that offense going, I think a full year under Bruce Boudreau, I think we're looking at a completely different Vancouver Canucks roster. But again, to me, I got to shore up that defense in front of Arthur Demko.
Yeah, there's talent there.
No, there is.
To be denied.
Yeah, that's true. We saw it 2 years ago in the bubble. I don't think that's a fluke. I think that if this team is in the right spot and it's going, they can be that kind of a team. Very frustrating, very solid, good young team. But Gardner's talking about the days that Flyers were on Prism. I unfortunately do not remember those days. I was too young.
I vaguely remember those days.
Oh, I do. I remember that one overtime game with Doc and Bill Clement wearing ties around their heads. Good times.
That is good. Yeah, they say I think Seattle in a few years will be like Arizona Coyotes, damaged goods. Ooh, that's harsh. Boy, a lot of things got to go wrong before you become the Coyotes. But Gardner saying Canucks got screwed in '94. Refs favored the Rangers. Those fans deserve to riot. And in 2011.
Fair enough.
Well, anytime that the Bruins and the Rangers win, you always got to think the refs are the reason why, because that is the reason why. But anyway, so moving forward, we then go to The number 6 team, the San Jose Sharks, 48 points, 22, 20, and 4. They're another team that they started out really, really hot, came down to earth a little bit, and then they've been, anytime they take a loss, they bounce back with 2 wins. Then they take a couple losses, they bounce back with 2 wins. They've been kind of that team basically this year. But they kind of have that don't give up kind of personality to their game, where if they're down by 3 goals, they might lose, but they'll lose by 3-2 and give the other team something to think about. So I do like that about the Sharks. They don't just give up and quit in games. They actually fight for everything. So I would say the Sharks, they've been competitive. They're not out of the wild card race by any stretch of the imagination. 48 points. They're 1 point behind Edmonton right now. So, I mean, I like where the Sharks are at in terms of where they've been competitive this year. Will it be enough for them to be the playoffs? Well, it's going to come down to the wire, it seems like, out there in the Pacific Division to see who can get that wild card spot. But I think the Sharks have had a pretty damn solid year, at least in terms of them being able to stay in the race for the most part.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry,
Sorry,
it's more
I'm
wide
doing something
open.
there.
Oh, no problem. I'm surprised it was. I thought it was. I'm surprised it's this wide open. I thought the West was more cut and dry on who was making it and who wasn't. Comparison to the Eastern Conference, but yeah, I mean, you're talking about a San Jose team, 48 points. 4 points behind the second wild card in Calgary Flames. I mean, and there's a lot of question marks in between. We talked about some question marks with the Dallas Stars. We're going to talk about the question marks with the Edmonton Oilers. So, they got to show you they're right there. They are right there.
Yeah, this is one of the toughest. This turned into one of the toughest divisions in hockey because now you got pretty much the entire division in the playoff picture still, minus Seattle. Sharks right now, I think, would be kind of dumb to try and sell some pieces at the moment. I mean, considering where they are, because they are within the striking distance. If they can move, I like Tomas Hertl for them. Obviously, Timo Meier's having a great year. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know who their goaltender is.
Aiden Hill. He was a young.
I still don't know who it is. Even though
I was about to say that
doesn't
doesn't help. That doesn't help me.
I will tell you, young goaltender prospect. He was with the Coyotes organization. Didn't really get much opportunities out there, so the Sharks grabbed him in a trade. Turns out, pretty damn good goalie. He's been tandeming with James Reimer, and Reimer's been good too this year. So
yeah, Reimer's a solid backup platoon type of a goaltender, so that makes a little bit more sense. And plus, on top of it, you're getting a better year out of Brent Burns. Not great, but better. And you have a pretty solid year out of Erik Karlsson on the defensive side. So that's helping a ton too. But I mean, they just happen to be in a division where all these other teams, as they're starting to really take their steps forward, everybody else is taking steps forward too. And the Knights it's just another season for the Knights.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, but the Sharks also have had some young players pop up out of nowhere. Merkley, they did have Eklund, but they had to send him back to Sweden. They also had guys like Jasper Weatherby. These were guys who were stepping up and taking steps forward. And it's like, I just wish that there were more guys on the Flyers that were doing what the guys were doing on the Sharks. But like, God damn it, if there were more youthful guys doing on the fucking Flyers doing what the Sharks are doing right now, we probably wouldn't be talking about how the Flyers need to blow this shit the fuck up. But anyway. But yeah,
man, that is a pure tandem that they're rocking in goal too. 26 games for Reimer and 24 for Hill. That's a nice even split. And they both have pretty good numbers.
Yeah, and Hill's had some great games. I mean, there was a game. Was it against Calgary? Yeah, I think it was against Calgary. Calgary threw everything at him. He stopped almost everything. So, and he just looked like he was calm, cool, and collected while doing it. I'm like, Christ. Like, is this guy like a secret sleeper, like elite goaltender, and no one fucking realized it? And the Coyotes gave it to the Sharks for nothing? Thank you. Thanks for being stupid. That's all I got to say about that. Yeah, true.
Man.
It's true. It's happened plenty of times. But All right, here. So yeah, that's the Sharks. Sharks were at their best when Big Joe was there. Well, Big Joe is no longer there. He's over in Florida. And I would argue and say that it was Marleau who was the major contribution on that one. But that's
But
just
the Sharks are starting to make their way back to relevancy.
yeah.
Good young team. A lot of good pieces there. Just got to figure out a way to put it together. I think getting rid of Big Joe was one of the best things they could have done. Honestly, I do like Logan Couture, like Priz said. Like I said, I just don't know who their goaltender is. I do like James Reimer though. James Reimer is he's a solid goaltender, always has been. Not spectacular, not going to set the world on fire, but he'll figure out ways to grind out and win games.
Yeah, absolutely. And so far, that's what they've been doing, and they've been getting the job done. And like I said, go back and, by the way, if you ever see any one game, check out that game between them and the Coyotes where it was like a 9-8 fucking score and it ended in a shootout. It was the weirdest fucking game. Anyway, Anthony's saying Joe Thornton's still 100, still playing and doing donuts with his walker around the young players.
But he's got the good gray beard, though. He's got the good gray beard going.
True,
like
true.
Gandalf with that shit.
I mean, that's what Jumbo Joe's known for. He was after he left Boston. That beard in San Jose was his trademark.
It's true. That is true. I bet you if somebody offered him a ton of money to shave, and he's like, "Fuck you." Anyway, on to the number 5 team in the division. That is the Edmonton Oilers at 49 points. Talk about a team that came down to earth. They were starting out really good, and it went to shit real fast for them. And it hasn't really picked up. They're losing 3-0 right now to the Vegas Golden Knights, and it isn't getting any better. Besides Connor McDavid and Draisaitl, is there anything that this team can do outside of those two to fix the shit right now?
Well, I mean, believe it or not, I mean, I get it. They had a hot start, and then, shit really hit the fan. They had that devastating losing streak. I think they went 10, 12 games without a point, similar to what the Flyers did twice this year. But they've actually picked it up recently with the risky addition. Say what you will about Evander Kane. He does offer a skill set that goes well with Draisaitl on that top line, and they do have games in hand, right? I think they've only played 42 games to a lot of people's 46 and even upwards of 48. But overall, it's been a disappointing campaign, and I don't know. I wanted to say that the Flyers, and I still am going to say the Flyers are my biggest disappointment this season, obviously for personal reasons, but taking off the homer hat, the Oilers might be the biggest disappointing team.
Yeah, and I could see why. I mean, if you look at the roster, and I feel like a broken record for saying this, I feel like, but it's true. If you look at some of these rosters, Edmonton specifically, Edmonton's built to be a division winner, the division spot playoff team. But they're not. I don't think they're getting great goaltending. Defense has been lackluster. I mean, I like Darnell Nurse for the most part. He's a solid number 1 guy. Tyson Barrie, I mean, he's been good since going to Edmonton and leaving Detroit or Toronto. But he hasn't been that great this year. I think the offense has been very lackluster this year. But, early on they were figuring out ways to win hockey games, and now they're not. I mean, they just won their last game before the All-Star break, and like Maddie said, they're losing 3-0 currently to the Vegas Golden Knights. There's no consistency from this team since that hot start. And I think that's been their biggest issue is figuring out ways to consistently put the puck in the net like they were last year. Defense holding leads. And to me, they need to upgrade the goaltending. I think they have some decent ones, but I don't think they have a guy right now that's a solid number 1.
No, they certainly don't. Basically, they've been doing patchwork. I believe Mike Smith is still out only played 6 games on the season, and they've been alternating between mostly Koskinen and Stuart Skinner. And neither, I mean, they're putting up the minimum average numbers, so that's definitely, they're not getting any help there. And to your earlier point about Tyson Barrie, yeah, his game has gone down. He's at a -6 on the season.
Yeah, and the special teams has just been absolutely putrid. They can't get anything going on either side of the puck as far as special teams goes.
Right. Well, there's a commonality to, how I have discussed both the Flyers and the Oilers as biggest disappointment, because there's some similarities there in terms of talent versus on-ice results.
No, you're right. You're right. You can have all the talent in the world, but you don't bring it to the rink. Doesn't matter, really, at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your commitment there, Chris.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna have to get the popsicle sticks out soon.
I'll do a Mr. Bean.
We got to speed this up.
I know. Well, we've only got 4 more, so we're almost there, boys. We're almost there. All right, number 4, the Calgary Flames at 52 points, 23-13-6 record. Flyers ignore. Yes, that was fucked up, by the way. That was terrible. But Calgary sitting in at 52 points right now. Yeah, what do you think about Calgary at this point? I feel like it's a team it's there, it's fighting for a wild card spot, it's fighting for its life. Do you like where Calgary's at? Or do you think that there's something off with them?
I like where they're at, man. Talk about a team that's really stepped it up defensively. They've only given up just over a titch over 100 goals on the season at 104. Despite only scoring 136 themselves, still a +32 differential. They get it done at home. I mean, they've had to play a lot more games on the road too in this first half. They've played 27 games at home. On the road in comparison to only 15 at home. I'm assuming due to postponements, traveling back and forth from Canada to U.S. Yeah, they only have 42 on the season, so they got games in hand. To the talk before, rumors is Calgary being a possible interested team in Claude Giroux. They are, I think, one guy away from making some noise in the playoffs.
I'm waiting. Markstrom's having a bounce back season. The defense has been just unreal. Monahan, it's been a little underwhelming. Johnny Gaudreau's had, this team is just pretty much par for the course. Nothing spectacular, but not even close to bad. They are a playoff team. They will continue to be a playoff team. To your point, Rob, I think they are an offensive piece away from being a potential contender for a Western Conference Final appearance.
All right, then. So Calgary looking good right now. Dan saying the Flames are fun to watch. And Flames fighting for wild card spot and are 3 points out of the 3rd spot in the division currently.
They are very fun to watch, Dan. They are very fun to watch.
On to the number
unis too. Can I say that real quick?
Sure.
I love that they went the vintage route and got those unis back. They're so sharp. I love
and
them.
And they won the cup in them too.
Yeah.
All right, now we got to go talk about boom.
Yes. So the number 3 spot, 55 points on the board, 23-16-9 record. The Anaheim Duckies. So the Ducks started out the year.
Don't say that.
What, the Duckies?
The Anaheim Duckies.
What?
Stop it.
What's wrong? There's nothing wrong with calling somebody a Ducky.
They're not children.
Nonetheless, the Duckies have done rather well for themselves during this season. Don.
He's just mad because we're doing better than Detroit.
At 3rd place, 55 points. The youth showing its ability. And Rob put a chicken on the side. I like that.
It's a duck.
It is a duck. Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
It's a mallard.
Yeah.
You put a chicken there. That's a duck, you Come on.
Anthony said the Ducks are like toddlers. That's kind of true.
Yeah, but they're toddlers in a playoff spot. How them Flyers doing again?
Well, not very well. But
I mean, a lot of young talent performing well. I mean, you have multiple Calder Trophy candidates on your squad right now.
Yeah, Troy Terry really breaking out this year, sitting at the top of the top 10 in goals scored with 25. Not far off from your leader in who's the goal leader? It's not Jonathan Huberdeau. I know that. He's the points leader, though. I was just looking at it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The Ducky, what? Wow. Ouch. That one kind of stung a little. Hey, he's finally starting to come at me like a man.
I thought I was right. Yeah, the goal NHL leader is Chris Kreider.
At 33.
Yeah.
So he's not far off from that. You're getting great goaltending from John Gibson, showing why he is one of the top goaltenders in the league. Defense is still a little from time to time. I think we need an upgrade there. I would like to see him go after Chitrin. But however, I will say this. The offense has been great, and Zegras was robbed of the breakaway contest in the All-Star Skills Challenge.
Yeah.
Fucking John Hamm.
Oh, yeah, fucking John Hamm. Exactly,
fucking John Hamm.
Like, did he literally, like, fucking have Stickum on his like what he can do with the puck is amazing. Like, it's absolutely amazing. And then doing Average Joe's Gym as your fucking prop, as your uniform, like, absolutely robbed, hands down. Oh,
I thought at first that maybe he could have seen through it, but then after watching it over and over again and actually getting like close-ups on the scarf that he used,
right,
he couldn't see through that. There is no way he could see through that. But yeah, he was just absolutely robbed, and he's been a huge breath of fresh air for this offense. You know, obviously going for the alley-oop earlier in the year, doing the Michigan against Montreal. You're getting goals from Troy Terry. This team is – the depth is really coming out. The youth is really starting to step up. And the Ducks, they're definitely a playoff team this year. I think they stay the course. I think they buy a little bit at the deadline. And I do think they are first round out, though. I don't think they're quite ready to make some noise in the playoffs, but I think they are going to get there. Don, shut up.
blah, 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 blah.
And I think I gave your Red Wings a ton of credit for being a great roster.
I love the dynamic.
You probably wouldn't even listen at that point. Where you Don?
I love the dynamic of our show where it's just such loving hate. Like that's all we do is fucking love and hate. That's all it is.
Oh yeah, because we're, like we say every week, we're a family here.
I'm very happy that I brought that into existence. And then Anthony, unfortunately, depends on, well, if we're like the New York Jets, we're getting there. If we're like the Winnipeg Jets, we're currently like that right now. Anyway, Gardner Minshew, I need a bubble bath, but not without my ducky.
What's Brian, before we move off the Ducks, what's been your first half assessment of rookie Jamie Drysdale?
I mean, he's done a lot of great things. His speed is just absolutely ridiculous. He's been able to catch up on a lot of guys who were initially on breakaways and been able to make a play on the puck. But I mean, he's played pretty well. I think he still has some growing to do, but this kid is going to be really, really good and potential to be number one defenseman in the league. And he's going to quarterback the power play. This guy is going to create a lot of havoc from the blue line.
That's a shucky ducky quack quack.
I mean, I'm seeing some stats here. He's second in scoring for rookie defenders, and he's averaging just under 20 minutes a night. Like that's pretty nice.
Yeah, this dude he's the real deal. Would I have liked him to take somebody else's 6, like Marco Rossi? But Like I said on draft night, I'm not unhappy with taking the number one defenseman in the draft, and he's showing why. And a good proof of not every guy needs that little taste of the AHL, which obviously Drysdale did get, but not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
It's 11 p.m., Brian. Why are you still up, Boomer?
Canadians are supposed to be nice people.
Apparently, you thought. That's true. I was expecting to see a sorry at the end of that.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. Hey, it's walleye season now.
Not in Western Canada. It's cutthroat, yeah. It's cutthroat.
Hey, we need to go get some maple syrup. Sorry.
It's all about staying warm.
Anthony, rubber ducks are good to use on a woman's open net. Right now. Wow. All right. So moving on
it is after 11 p.m. We can go after dark. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I will be honest. It is past my bedtime, though. I'm not sitting here in front.
Well, that's why it's time to head on over to the final two teams. So number 2 on the list, 55 points as well. The Los Angeles Kings at 24, 16, and 7. We saw the Kings slowly starting to develop into something as they were starting to build themselves back up. Starting to see the fruits of that labor come up. And I will say the Kings are they're pretty damn solid right now. You know, I mean, are they perfect? No, they're still growing, but they're growing in the right direction. You know, like the Ducks. You know, they're picking it up. They're picking up the steam that they need to after building themselves back up from being down in the dumps.
Both California teams are showing that it may not take long to turn it around, you know, in terms of retooling versus rebuilding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I love what they did in the offseason. Like as speaking as a Ducks fan, speaking more as a hockey fan, going out and getting Philip Deneau, Alex Iafallo is having a really good year. Adrian Kempe being the lone Kings rep in the All-Star game. Going out and getting Victor Arvidsson was a huge move for them with his 30 points on the year. Shoring up the defensive side with Alex Edler, who's been really, really good. Getting a gritty guy like Brennan Lemieux. This team has just been, we knew what this team is capable of with the guys that they went out and got. Adding the young studs in. And now, if you look back at the goaltending, you're getting great goaltending from Jonathan Quick, showing signs that he definitely still has it, and he's not losing a step. 12-10. He's got 72 goals allowed on 820 shots for a goals against of 2.6 and a save percentage of 912. Cal Peterson, the young pup that is going to take over for Quick when his days in LA are done.
Yeah.
Numbers aren't much worse. 2.67 goals against and a 900 save percentage. This team is going to be really, really good, and they don't even have everybody up yet that is the future of this franchise, like Dustin Byfield. Or sorry, I don't know why I always want to call him Dustin. Quentin Byfield. Quentin Byfield's another one. Brant Clark is the future of that defensive core there. Just signed an entry-level deal. Probably going to be up in about 2 years. So this LA Kings team is like Anaheim. They're back. They're back. They're going to be contenders for a nice little while here with Anaheim. San Jose is starting to work their way back into it. Vegas continues to be, who we're about to talk about, is a perennial playoff team. And Ant Kopi is a stud.
He might be having the best year of his career.
At 32 years old. Who's the other one I was looking at? Andre Athanasiou, not really having a great year for the Kings. Dustin Brown having a solid. He's having a solid year. Not the guy that he once was, being the 20, 30 goal scorer that he was, but he's got He's had a nice handful of assists now that he's back on the line with Anze Kopitar.
Yeah, contributing in other ways, but much like Toronto in the East, I think the LA Kings are the frauds of the West. Fraudulent.
Yeah.
I thought you would like that better as the Anaheim fan. I thought I was feeding into you, Brian. I get nothing.
No, sorry, I was looking at something.
And you see why I call the Anaheim Ducks the Anaheim Duckies.
No, sorry, I was looking at something. I was trying to match something up.
No,
I'm just setting that up right.
I've been doing that a lot. This show myself, man. All good.
No,
I'm doing
it's
that
saying
right
Anze
now.
Kopitar has 50 points, but if you look at the stats here on the side, it says he has 50 points. But if you look at the points on the actual stats, it says he has 42. It says Dustin Brown has 17 goals, but he's only got 6.
Look up Hockey Reference. All their stats are bullshit.
Yeah, I don't know why I'm on NHL because I got the standings there too. So,
or NHL Stat Track. That's a great
NHL
website.
Stat Track's another good one. Hockey Reference is usually my go-to. And Drew Doughty, but he's on his way out, so that's why you go out and get a guy like Brandt Clark. But he's the future of that defensive core there. Brandt Clark is going to be a ridiculous player.
All right, and now we go to the final team here, the number 1 team in the Pacific Division. They are sitting at 57 points, 27 wins, 16 losses, and 3 OTLs. And with the way that it's currently looking, 4-0 on Edmonton, they're going to get 28 wins and 59 points before the night is out. That is the Vegas Golden Knights, a team that has been so very, very, very close on multiple occasions to the Cup and to getting to the round of the Cup finals, but always finding themselves coming up just a little bit short. We were wondering in the beginning of the year with them we thought they might be panic trading. They got rid of Fleury and they decided they were going to go with Lanier as their go-to goaltender, it seemed like, and seemed like they were trying to play around with their roster. They sent Tuck off to Buffalo. So far, though, really nothing has set them back. It's just business as usual for them. Do you see this Golden Knights team, though? Do you think that they're the same kind of threat that they were over the last couple of seasons, or do you think that they might be meddling with it just a little bit too much simply because they're maybe not in a panic state, but sort of in the, what the fuck do we got to do to get back into the final here?
Honestly, I think they're once they get Jack Eichel, I think they'll be fine. I think that's going to be the big thing. This team clearly still is the perennial powerhouse that they were when they first came in here. Robin Lanier stepping in and not having to worry about having Marc-Andre Fleury ride his coattails. It's his team, it's his job, and now it's up to him to get this team to the Stanley Cup final. I think they're good enough to get there. And I think they're only going to get better, especially if Jack Eichel comes in and he comes in healthy and gets to be the Jack Eichel he was when he first came into the league. And this team is going to be stupid scary.
Stupid scary. They're already pretty well balanced. I mean, they're well represented in their home stadium or in home arena for the All-Star game, and with Jonathan Marchessault and on the defense. I just had his name in my mind. Oh, Pietrangelo, and who John Hamm put through.
John Hamm.
John Hamm. Yeah, right.
How did that deserve a 19? All he did was bring out the drummers, and then he went down and Zegras got robbed. I would have been okay if Jack Hughes won that one, but come on, Zegras got robbed. Lame.
But I to my point though, in terms of assets on the ice when the games really count, that's a nice base. Just well balanced team, and then you're adding Jack Eichel to that. I mean, they're going to be dangerous. I think ultimately the West is going to come down to the two juggernauts, and that's Colorado and Vegas. I know it's a safe prediction, but I see no other way it could result.
Same.
All right.
I kept trying to make a case for the Predators, but
right.
as good as Juicy Saros is, I mean, let's be real. Like the team of Vegas is better than Nashville. The team of Colorado is better than Nashville. Do I think that there could be a surprise team out of the Pacific Division to maybe make a little bit of run? Maybe. But I
think it's whomever's active at the trade deadline. I think, whichever of these teams add a significant piece, they could really take the reins on the West.
Yeah, and if Pat Verbeek is half the GM I'm expecting him to be with his resume basically being with Stevie Yzerman through Tampa and Detroit, Anaheim could be that team. I think LA could be that team. They got pieces to trade off. San Jose's got pieces to trade off. They could make some noise. St. Louis has pieces to trade off. If St. Louis does what we thought they were going to do, they could do, and get Claude Giroux, I think St. Louis is a team that can make some noise too. What are you doing?
I'm so glad I didn't interrupt you because you brought up the name. I do see Claude Giroux going to St. Louis. That's why I brought that up last week. But now I'm seeing the light of maybe a little trade to the Anaheim Ducks of Claude Giroux. Wouldn't that be so sweet for you?
I wouldn't hate it. I would love it. I'd go out and get his jersey right away.
Right. And maybe we could get a dry sale back in return.
No. No.
Yes. Yeah.
No. We'll give you Josh Manson. We got plenty of D. I'll give you Josh Manson. You could be the centerpiece in the return deal.
I think the deal's off. I think Rob was shaking his head there. I think the deal's off now. Jamie Drysdale or fucking nothing.
Josh Manson right now is still better than anybody on that defensive core in Philadelphia.
Oh, that's actually kind of true. Yeah, but anyway.
I'm thinking long term.
I'm thinking long. Josh Manson's relatively young. He's 30. He's 30 or 31.
He's like, come on, Poe. The Flyers aren't that smart. But anyway, so that's that, ladies and gentlemen. So the top three spots in the Pacific Division currently, the Golden Knights, is looking at staying that way, the Kings, and the Ducks. And that's that. So that's our mid-season recap of the first half of the year in the East and the West. So a lot of surprises and a lot of not so surprises that have been popping through here on both conferences, actually. And I think we're seeing some of those teams that have been building towards something in the future are making their first steps into, well, as Obi-Wan once said, they've taken their first step into a larger world, to say the least, for them. And
great quote. Great
yes.
Man, that Obi-Wan.
He was. And it's a shame we lost him in his prime. But I will say, though, ladies and gentlemen, that it will be an intriguing second half for pretty much the entire NHL, and that could lead to a very fun playoffs. So keep your eyes on hockey here. Things are always going to get interesting in the second half.
Who do you guys got in the finals? Who do you got winning?
I got the Avalanche and the Hurricanes. I got the Canes upsetting the Avalanche. I told you at the start of the season, I'm pretty much all in on the Canes this year.
Yeah.
I love what they've done with this team, and right now they are behind the Panthers. They're the second best team in the league, in my opinion. They're rolling on all cylinders right now, despite the loss to Ottawa.
I don't really know, honestly. I will roll with. You know what? I will roll with. You know what? Just because no one's necessarily thinking that they're going to do it, I will say the Golden Knights. Watch them get into the final, and then the opponent they'll face. Fuck it, Tampa. Tampa beats them, and they do a three-peat and become the greatest team in the 21st century.
Lightning strikes thrice? What?
Thrice. Yes, I don't care. I'm going to roll with it. Fuck it. Why not?
That's a hot take.
I don't give a shit. I'm going to roll with it at this point. Who cares?
I don't even have the Lightning in the Eastern Conference Finals in my predictions. I got the conference finals here. I got the Hurricanes and the Maple Leafs. And in the West, I got the Avalanche and the Knights, and I got the Avalanche winning, and I got the Hurricanes winning. But I got Carolina winning it all. Like he said, I'm big on this team. I'm big on this Hurricanes team.
So Benny's half agrees with me. He's got Vegas on the one side. He's got the Leafs on the other. So Anthony's rolling Kings and Rangers.
That would be an interesting one because that would be a repeat of what was it, 2014?
Yes.
Or 2012?
Yes.
I
thought it was
14.
earlier. It
No.
was 14, okay.
Yeah, it was 14. 12 was Devils.
Okay, Kings Devils. Okay.
Yeah.
It's been a minute for Jonathan Quick. He's been lethal. Hey, Jesse, he's having a great year this year too, man. And the fact that he's got young and Cal Peterson, breathing down his neck, he's really stepped his game up.
Jesse, Leafs are the Cowboys of the NHL.
They kind of are. They kind of are.
And then he says it's been a minute for Jonathan Quick. He was lethal in those early 2010s. That's true. If Quick's got another one in him, oh boy. Good luck with that.
That's true.
I mean, do I think that the Kings can get that far? No. Is there a small possibility that they can? Absolutely. All you got in 2012, they proved that, all you have to do is get in. They were an 8th seed when they won their first Stanley Cup. So if they did it once, there's no reason they can't do it again.
And they were also a 3 seed when they won their second. They did not have home ice in the playoffs that year either. So, again, proved it.
All right, boys, real quick before we wrap this up, your biggest surprise.
All right, then. Biggest surprise for this for the first half of the season. My biggest surprise would be I'm still going to say the Rangers. Don't get me wrong. I know why you were big on them, Rob, and you're not wrong on that because they were that good. It's just I thought they would be more third place wild card. I didn't expect them to be so solidified in second place.
Yeah, they've had a fabulous season. I understand that. Believe me, I don't disagree.
I know, Rob, you did yours earlier, but you want to go over yours again?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to go with Nashville Predators. I did not think that they would be in the same position that the Rangers are in the Central Division.
Same. And my biggest surprise, Homer hat on, is the Anaheim Ducks. Did not expect them to be as good as they are. I did expect them to be in the running for Shane Wright. I'm not going to sit here in front. They're playing way better than I thought, and I can't get my computer to sit still. Jesus Christ. Just stay. I've only got 2 of the pads on here. I got my laptop pretty much hanging halfway off the table right now.
Gravity, you gotta love it.
But this team has really stepped up on the Dallas Eakins, and they're really playing well. They're taking that next step forward. All right, boys. Biggest disappointment.
Biggest disappointment? Yeah, well, I'm just gonna throw out the Flyers. Honestly, that was a pretty big disappointment.
It's a huge disappointment.
Yeah,
Robbie.
I'm gonna go with the Oilers since he said Flyers, and I purposely went Predators to leave you for your Ducks.
My man. But we agree on the biggest disappointment, though. Definitely for me, it's the Edmonton Oilers, especially after the way they started, the team they have built. They're a team to be a playoff contender, and right now they're on the outside looking in.
Yep.
All right, so 2 more here. Your first half Calder Trophy winners.
I thought about this long and hard and went back and forth, but I'm going to have to go Lucas Raymond, man.
Maddie?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Robbie. Finish up. My apologies.
No problem. I mean, just have an outstanding season, 10 goals, 29 points in 34 games. I think he's the odds-on favorite, so I'll go with the favorite and make Don happy.
Yeah.
Maddie?
I would go with Kyrell, but he can't get it. I would say... You know what? Throw some love to the Duckies, Zegras. Fuck it. I'm going to do it.
He is a candidate, a legit candidate.
Yep. And I'm going with Lucas Raymond. The kid's just a stud. He just figures out all kinds of offensive ways. All right, first half MVPs, and let's wrap this shit up.
First half MVPs. Let's see here. First half MVP for me. I'm gonna roll with shit. Who was the scorer on the Panthers? Fuck. He's their top scorer. Fuck.
Jonathan Huberdeau?
Yes, thank you.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that pick.
Wow.
I don't dislike that pick.
Thank you.
For me, I said it before and I'll say it again, man. Leading the NHL in goals, Chris Kreider.
Yeah, Kreider's a good one. So me and Maddie are on the same page. I actually did not think that he was going to go with Huberdeau. I thought I was going to be the only one who went outside the box on this one. The man has 25 goals. I think he's got like 40 some odd assists. He leads the league in points. Jesse said Vander Kane. So Jesse, there's some Panther love for you, brother. Me and Maddie both agreeing that Johnny Huberdeau is first half MVP, league MVP. So, all right, Maddie, let's take this thing home.
Yep. All right. So that third period and last portion shootout segment brought to you by, first off, Fan Up. If you become an A2D member for only $9.99 a month, you can get Money Pot Podcast and Willie Vegas advice. And if you take that and go on over to Fan Up, they have contests. They have daily NFL contests, which there's only the Super Bowl left, but you can win some big money at the Super Bowl. That's a big pot usually. And you can get about 5,000 bonus points. It's a $50 value with the promo code A2D. So take the advice from Willie Vegas and Money Pot and bring it on over to Fan Up and win yourself some cash. And then the shootout segment is brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal over at Specialized Physical Therapy. Brian can tell you they got one hell of a team over there. They know what they're doing, and if you got any aches and pains, you won't be feeling it for much longer when you go see them.
No, they do a great job over there. My shoulder feels great, 100% plus. Probably the strongest I've been in a long time. So go over there and check them out. He's our doc. Make him yours. It's Dr. Paul Vidal at Specialized Physical Therapy.
Absolutely. And on a serious note, if anyone actually take that off. Sorry. And by the way, if you do want to support A2D Radio as well as the Hockey Happy Hour, any of the other great shows that we have here, where can they go to do that, Brad?
Like I said earlier, you head on over to phillydrinkers.com. That's Philly Drinkers LLC. Rob's little off-camera icon here is one of the shirts that you can get. All kinds of great stuff. We got hoodies and stuff like that there. All kinds of merch, fun little parody T-shirts, Thrust the Process. You can get your Garner Minshew shirts. So, Garner, if you're still in here, you can go ahead and get your face on a T-shirt, and we can get it sent out to you. So, head on over. Philly Drinkers LLC. That's phillydrinkers.com. Alex will take real good care of you guys.
Absolutely. And then I'll just leave this guy here for A2D memberships for a moment, just so that you guys can see all the perks here that you get for the $9.99 a month, and the way that you can get yourself some awesome perks, members only streams, shout outs, and weekly sports picks like we were talking about from Willie Vegas and the Money Pod podcast.
And y'all can jump on a show with us too.
That too. We've had Priz on here a few times, and we're always looking to bring people.
On Flight Zone.
Yeah, not on here. Still offended by that, by the way. All right. And not specialized. Where is it? There it is. Body Check Wellness. There we go. And there's our show sponsor, Body Check Wellness. 25% off your order when you use the A2D code. Great line of products using for focus and clarity with both THC-free and hemp products. And check it out. Get you some. And trust me, you'll be surprised at how strong you'll be in terms of getting shit done in your life. All right, then. So that'll do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We are halfway through, gentlemen, of the season. And, second half has begun. And the Golden Knights are off to a good start. They just finished up Edmonton, as well as Columbus. I saw them finish it up. And Senators are off to a great start. So a few teams off to a strong start in their second half. We'll see if they can keep it going as we go further and further and further down. We're getting closer to the trade deadline and then closer to the playoffs, gentlemen. Excitement in the air. It's all building up. But we will see you guys next week right here on the Hockey Happy Hour.
We got really good live reactions next week. We got the Flyers and the Penguins.
We do. Round 2 of the Pennsylvania battle will be happening on that particular. I'm sorry, round 3 of the battle for Pennsylvania will be happening on that night. So big rivalry night next week. We'll see you guys then. Until then, peace and love. Take care of yourselves out there, everyone.
Florida Avalanche, Stanley Cup Finals. Avs win. I'm going to keep picking them till it's true.